everybody, and welcome to the first post-game overreaction show of the season. I'm your host, Paul Maharry. I'll be joined soon by Jason Butt, Radi Nabulsi, Brent Rollins, everybody else, and then, of course, you, the viewer, can call in as well. We appreciate you jumping in with us. 34-3 Georgia over Clemson. Tale of two halves, and we'll get into that a little bit, but Georgia comes out, does not allow a touchdown to Clemson, much like they didn't allow a touchdown to Oregon the last time they played in this kickoff game. Guys, if you're new to the show, welcome. If you have been here for a while, thanks for coming back. Let us know where you're watching from. It's always a big plus to let us know where you're watching from. We'll shout it out up here on the screen. And then, as always, guys, the link is in the YouTube description. I want to see your pretty faces. Come on to the show with us. We'll get you on here, and let's have some fun, guys. We're in for about, 2-3 hours worth of post-game coverage here, and, a lot to kind of break down. We're going to, before we get too deep into it, we got some shout-outs to give. Brett Weimer's in the building. Chip Crooks watching from Alpharetta, Georgia. Gary, there he is. Miss you, Gary. Glad to see you back, brother. Thomasville, Georgia. Chris Brown's in the building. Chef Jay Brown, Stick D's is here. There he is. Brett's also here. Yeah, St. Mary's. Rachel Dawg's here. CTC. KJ Bolden is him. We'll touch on that for sure. Go Dogs from Jamal Williams. Good to see you. Chris Brown. 3 tutties from the portal is the chef kiss against Dabo. Statham checking in. Yeah, we'll touch on those transfers making some big impacts for Georgia, and obviously none making an impact for Dabo Swinney. Frank DiCarlo, Go Dogs from Evans. Let's overreact, please. That's what we're here to do. We're about to overreact for sure. Where's the boys? I don't know. I'm here right now, Brett. If you want to call in and help me out, I was supposed to start off with Jason. He's not here. I might let me see what old Eddie's doing. Let me see, Eddie, if you're watching, come on. Let me text Eddie. Yeah, we'll get Eddie in here for a second. We got Mello in here. We got Valdosta in the building. Greensboro, Georgia. Indian Creek, Texas. That's a fake city. First fake city of the POS 2024. Chattanooga, Tennessee. What's up, Miss Green? How are you? Michigan in the building. And we got a lot right here. Linville, IA. Oh, I see James Caraway. Help me out. There we go. Going through all of these. Ohio Dog, Quantico, Virginia. You are a part of the CIA, brother. Good to see you. Great to have Paul back with what will be some terrible takes this season. My biggest hater of them all, Dr. Greg Steele. He got his doctorate degree in hating me. That's awesome. That's awesome. Good to see you, Doc. James, what's up, man?
What's going on?
What a first game. 34-3. Thanks for hopping on, by the way. 34-3. Like I always ask everybody, initial thoughts. What are we looking at here?
Felt like classic Georgia, start off a little slow, and then once they start rolling, no one can really touch the team when they're rolling. It's just if you play Alabama or Texas, if you start off that slow, are you going to be able to still keep the lead and roll like that in the second half?
Yeah. It was the tale of two halves, I feel like, for this Georgia team. At halftime, I had a buddy in the stands. I was like, yo, what's the crowd doing right now? He said there's a couple, Fire Bobo folks out there. Wasn't as bad, and I'm sure that died down pretty heavily as the second half started. I didn't ask for an update because I didn't feel like it was necessary. But we saw a team in the first half try to get things going, and I think the biggest talk of this is the missing pieces of Etienne and Roderick Robinson and having to rely on Branson Robinson to start off. It just didn't look like he had his full mojo back. What were you thinking on that, James?
Yeah, first game back after a big injury. I didn't think missing Rob and Etienne would be so glaring, but it was in that first half until they really switched over and just said, we're going to give the freshmen some carries. But that was the biggest thing. They clearly wanted to establish the run in the first half and just couldn't do it, and that's what kind of just put us behind the sticks there.
I've got somebody else joining us here. The man, there he is.
Yeah, man. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
I haven't seen you in like a year, bro. How are you?
I'm all right, man. I've been hiding.
Your hair's growing out. I miss you, brother. It's good to see
I miss
you.
you too, man. Hey, it's
Jason
football
Butt.
season. We're back.
Hey, Jason Butt in the building. Jason, as I ask everybody that comes on the show, the first question is always the initial thoughts. What are we thinking?
Hey, I mean, defense is elite. I think a lot of people thought that going in. But, man, I think the exclamation point was that Malachi Starks interception there, where you just saw the athleticism. You saw Clemson needing to take a shot there if they were going to somehow get into it late in that game, and Starks said, "That ain't happening, buddy," and just left it 8 million feet in the air. It felt like snagged the ball out. Super athletic play, very reminiscent of the Oregon interception a couple of years ago. And but this one, obviously, to essentially say, yeah, you guys aren't going to do nothing today. Nice try. So defense, absolutely elite. I do wonder. I mean, we've all known about Clemson's. It's not even an inability. It's just the stupid decision not to attack the transfer portal, to just not do the things that you need to do to keep up in college football. So for me personally, going into the game, I gave Clemson a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. Thought it might be a little closer than the spread indicated. But man, this team is garbage. It is a mid-tier ACC program with a good defensive line. And this offense won't do much all year long. I mean, it just doesn't have the horses. The quarterback has not been developed at all. Cade Klubnik, I did not impress with him last year. Not impressed with them today. Don't think that they will do much. They will not be a threat in the ACC whatsoever this year. That doesn't take away from Georgia. I thought Georgia, again, defensively elite, woke up in the second half on offense, did what everybody wanted to see. Man, I tell you what, Varian Smith continues to do that. I think that's going to change things for Georgia. Not the one-trick pony that he has been the last few years. I thought it was great seeing him get involved. Comeback slants. A little bit more of a well-rounded receiver, 5 for 56, I think is what it was. And so you got all the weapons out there. Nate Fraser, I'm pretty sure y'all probably, while I was trying to log on forever.
We haven't even talked. We just said. I don't even think I talked about him yet. We will.
Man, that guy is. Oh man, if you want to talk about overreaction show or anything like that, I mean that guy is Todd Gurley incarnate.
Oh, so that's. I was going to ask you who does he remind you of?
He reminds me. It's not Chubb. It's definitely Gurley. The way really, and it's not necessarily build. It's just vision and cutting. That guy today, I was like, my eyes just like bulged like watching him. I go, oh wow, they got the guy. They haven't had that guy since Nick Chubb and Sony Michel. And I guess you could say Swift a little bit, but Swift wasn't those guys. Gurley, Chubb, and Sony. And it's like I think Nate looks like those guys. Nate looks like that level to where, I mean, look, it should be the Etienne Fraser show in the backfield, I think, and really the Fraser Etienne show. And I know it's one game, and that's quite the overreaction after one game. And Kirby's postgame remarks to ESPN were very much trying to temper expectations, but we saw what we saw. Yeah. This kid's special.
Yeah, no, I think I saw a little bit of Sony out there. You saw Chubb. Who did you see, James?
I was going to say Sony too. Maybe a little bit quicker or straight line speed, but that's who I saw.
Yeah. I mean, I saw there were a couple times where I saw Gurley, and I don't know if it was just the number 3, right? That was throwing me back a little bit. I didn't see the dreads hanging out of the back, so that's what helped out a little bit there with thinking, it wasn't Gurley. If he had the dreads though, maybe I'm full on in on their Gurley there with the number 3. But I think Sony is my comparison. Either way though, right? Either way, we're talking about two of the legendary.
You got an elite college back. Elite. That's kind of the theme to me. It's defense is elite, Fraser's elite, Carson Beck's elite. I think this team showed why it's number 1. It took a minute for the offense to get there, but it's going to be tough to beat these guys, any team.
James, before I let you run, because you always start the show off with us, and I appreciate it more than you know. What's your one overreaction from this game? It could be positive, I guess. This isn't just a negative overreaction show. This is the post-game overreaction show. It could be positive. It normally leans towards the negative, though, in these situations. But I'll let you have either one if you'd like.
All right. My overreaction is Urasek. He's not getting much playing time. I think Austin Lucky looked the best of all three, and he's going to end up, I think, getting the most reps by the end of the year.
Yeah, Austin Lucky is going to be special. We'll talk about him. James, as always, my friend, next time join us for the bathtub again, would you?
All right, I got you. See you guys.
See you, brother. James Carraway there with his kid, who he had the kid last season. Remember, Jason?
Yep,
now the
like mid-year.
Walking around, and
right when he started hopping on the show is when I believe he had a little one.
And now mine's running around too. He just woke up from a nap. So Andy Stowe in the building. So I saw a mixture of all of them. He's different. Fraser
He's different,
fast,
that's for sure.
Fraser fast. I see Todd Gurley. He has the swift dead leg. He does have that. Humphreys is Yak City. Is Humphreys the new McConkey from Pickle's Cage?
He's different. He's different than McConkey, but
we've got some folks. I knew it was coming. Jason. First game of the season. Everett needs to be benched. I knew that was coming.
It's a different era. Like the lockdown, the Charles Woodson type corner doesn't exist anymore because teams throw and spread the field. It's like these guys are going to give up plays. It's a matter of not giving up too many plays and not in crucial situations. And you didn't have that today because Georgia was in control.
Mystic said that was something else. First half had me uncomfortable, but the third quarter was on fire. Yeah, I think uncomfortable is probably a good word for that first half. You didn't know what was going to happen. You felt like the Dogs had control of the game. There was a couple plays that could have gone their way to maybe change it to a 13-0 game instead. But I don't think if you're a Georgia fan, you ever felt like you weren't going to win that game.
You didn't. No,
there wasn't a time for that. It was just when was the offense going to get going, Jason, was the question. And obviously it didn't really get going in the first half, but you never felt like, like your life was in danger here, that Clemson was going to come out and beat you.
Right. And I think the thing that I kept looking back on, or not looking back on, but just thinking in the moment in that first half was that Clemson couldn't do anything on offense. I mean, they were so inept. And a lot of that was, Georgia not even doing too much. They just played their assignments. They were able to stop the run, disrupt Cade Klubnik. Again, I don't think an upper-tier college quarterback. It seems like Clemson missed on him. They've missed on the last two quarterbacks that they brought in. And so not being able to handle Georgia's just kind of base defense. And I don't mean base in terms of personnel, but just, regular defense that they would like to play, not having to do much exotic things to rattle them. And he couldn't get the ball downfield. They couldn't run the ball. And so you just didn't feel like Clemson's offense was ever going to take off. But like what you said, it was just a matter of time for Georgia because they were getting some plays and then settling for the two field goals. If not for the Dylan Bell it was Bell was the receiver, but it was Aaron Smith with the pass interference. If not for that, there's a good chance they get a touchdown that drive. So, it was just a matter of time for the offense to start going. But, man, I'll tell you what, Georgia's defense combined with Clemson just not having the guys on offense to do much, you were never worried, even at only 6-0 at halftime.
Jermaine King in the building. There he is. He says, my overreaction is Starks is great. What about they say football can't be poetic? He makes almost the exact same interception, Jason, that he did in his first game against Oregon in the same stadium, right? And we all know this is his last year in a Georgia uniform. He's going to go be a first-round pick, and is just an excellent human being. Kirby said at the end of the press conference too, or on the field, that he's just an excellent person, and he is. Like, that's not hyperbole. He's a really, really good young man. And to make that catch, though, I saw it live, right? And I was like, damn, that was a really good interception. And then they played it back in slow motion, Jason, and he pretty much did a full 180, almost like a Tony Hawk, 900, it felt like, just spinning in the air because he's really, really impressive. And that the secondary actually impressed me, Jason. It was one of those things where starting off this season, I was a little concerned. That was my one area of weakness that I thought Georgia had, was the secondary, just because, you're having to move Everett over to that number one corner. You've got a secondary corner, playing in Humphreys, who got a little bit of run last year but didn't have a ton. And then, the whole safety situation, Aguero not being able to play today, everybody getting moved around. Seems like this is more of a positive for this team with the secondary, and the defensive line to me kind of seems more like the weakness now, if you will.
I don't know if I would go as far. Well, I mean, weakness as in if you're going to rank the 3 levels of the defense, maybe.
But you have to, yeah, if you are.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think the defensive line's as a weakness. Maybe not as deep or as strong, but I still think they're plenty capable. Now the secondary, I'll give you this: KJ Bolden coming in and playing the way he did today, and making some key tackles and being disruptive, and of course Dan Jackson just doing what Dan Jackson typically does. Steady, complete, great college player that he is. Malachi's we all mentioned Malachi Starks already with that pick, and just in general everything else he did out there. I think at corners still they just got to get those guys reps and get them more and more comfortable. I think, given the style of defense that they want to play, which is man on the outside, you're going to give up plays. So you're going to have guys like Dalen Everett giving up some plays here and there. But then at the end of the day, Everett, Humphrey, they're going to come along. Ellis Robinson's going to come along. I think they're going to be fine back there. And ultimately, it seems like the injury to Michael Williams is going to be fine. But, I thought, he flashed a good bit today. And he's obviously playing the outside backer role. Jalen Walker is getting back there. He got a sack today. So I just think all levels are going to be fine. I mean, no, it's not a defensive line like 2021, 2022. But it's still, I think, a really good D line. And then the linebackers are, inside and outside. They're fantastic. I thought C.J. Allen looked great today. And then, but to your point, secondary's deep. They got guys. And I think the fact that you can play KJ Bolden today and have no worries back there speaks volumes to the depth of this group.
What was it? It was the first drive, right, where he made that tackle on third down? Was it the first drive?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was, third down tackle from Bolden.
Chase Langford's in the building. What's up, Chase? He says, I think Brandon, he meant to say Branson there. I think Branson is hesitant from his injury. Didn't seem to want to press it upfield in some holes. I could see that. And for good reason, too, Jason. We're not talking about some minor injury that Branson Robinson's coming back from. There were some people that thought he wouldn't even play this year, or play super late into the season. And here we are, game 1, and they're asking him, hey, man, we've got ETN out, suspended. Roderick Robinson's hurt. We've got this good freshman behind you. And, of course, we've got Cash Jones, but we need to rely on you a little bit, and you're going to start for us today. That's
well, I think it's also about giving him the opportunity. And, he was supposed to be the guy, and he's dealt with injuries, really since he's been here. And and so it's giving him that opportunity. He has the most experience of, I guess Cash Jones, I think it's kind of mind-blowing that and going into today, I think he had appeared in 26 games. But obviously, when you look at, between the tackles, running ability, and all that, Branson is going to be your guy over Cash Jones. So I think you give Branson the opportunity, knowing that you've got these other guys available. Cash Jones is your receiving back or your third down back. Nate Fraser can kind of sub in with you. And, I think there could be something to it. But when you haven't had game reps in so long and you are coming off an injury, and there's going to be that mental thing in the back of your, that thought in the back of your mind, oh man, am I, I don't want to get hurt if I go this way. What do I do here? You're just overthinking it a little bit. So I think for him, it's going to be about getting more game reps to feel comfortable. You don't have that with Nate Fraser at the moment, and you won't have that with ETN, and when he's back. And so, it's exciting to see that running back group. And quite honestly, I thought Cash Jones' touchdown run. I mean, I know it was late, the game's over, but it's nice to see him get a really good quality run for a score there, and Kirby giving him a shout out. I think when you have guys like him in there who can contribute, I mean, it just speaks to the depth that group. Why Georgia's been RBU for so long.
I love how Kirby at the end. I'm about to bring you on, Caleb. I see you, brother. I love how Kirby at the end was like, nobody's talking about Cash Jones. Like, Kirby, how do you know who anybody is talking about? Even on the
One,
field?
yeah, he doesn't know, and two, the game just ended. So like, we have the chance to talk about it. That was
right.
so
Like,
funny.
Nobody's brought him up because the game just ended. And how do you know nobody's talking about him?
Yeah, it's one of the, he knows. I mean, he knew because he knows. He knows what we know. He knows that Nate Fraser's got to play, but he also doesn't want to let Nate Fraser get a big head about how good the guy is. But the whole world saw it.
Yep. So he had to bring in Cash and be like, look, nobody's talking about Cash Jones and the block that he made. It's like, I mean, I don't think anybody is, Kirby, but you're right. He did make a good block on that play. But, Nate Fraser is the talk of the town. The talk of the town, Caleb Peavy. Look at this guy's setup.
What's up, guys?
Set up, man. How you doing?
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, man. I always wanted to join. It's usually really late and I look disheveled, but these new Georgia hats are really dope, so it makes me look a little better.
Hey, looks all right. I was debating going with a hat or not. Got a haircut yesterday. I'm just balding too much, Caleb, and I can't do it. It's unfortunate. Meanwhile, Jason shows up a year later, right? Haven't seen him in 8 months, and he's got this beautiful lock of hair flowing and lock of lettuce.
Also, I don't know. I've had the hat on today.
Yeah, maybe keep the hat back on.
Just decided to let it go. Midlife crisis, I guess. So.
Caleb, what's going on, brother?
Yeah, man. I know that there's probably going to be a lot of people overreacting about a lot of things with this one, for sure. But, to me, I would just describe it as a professional win, I think.
I like that.
They talked about the announcers, which actually weren't terrible for this game, by the way. Let's just give them.
No, they're always. I can't think.
I mean, Greg McElroy does a good job. Typically.
No, what's the play-by-play? Sean McDonough.
Yeah.
He always shouts out our watch-along show. So, yeah, I like him.
Yeah. So, I mean, I thought it was a very professional win. And at the end of the game, they were talking about culture. And Dabo, it makes it sound like he wants to have more of a family culture. And that's caused some issues. Whereas when you look at UGA, it's all about performance and getting better and being excellent on everything at every level. And I think that's the reason why he calls out. I'm a marketing guy. Have a company that does digital marketing, and he's a media master. Like he puts those sound bites out and he calls guys out like that because he knows the players watch it, and he's just a master motivator. And so when they talked about the difference of culture, you could see that Kirby is saying it's all about team. It's all about team. I get excited seeing a guy pick up a pass block, and it was just really cool to watch. I never once ever in that game thought we were going to lose. No, it was very clear. And some of the numbers, like if you go back and look at the box score, the reason why I feel like this was a professional win is that our special teams just absolutely destroyed them. So like those 23 yards from Anthony Evans doesn't seem like a lot, but he's going to be a threat this year.
Oh, he's housing one this year for sure. He's housing one for sure.
Maybe more than one.
Yeah. And then Thorson, man, like 4 with 192 yards, 3 inside the 20 with a 57-yard long, 55-yarder in the first half. Like special
no return. Hey, still no returns for Thorson. No return yards for Thorson still, right?
Yeah, exactly. So like you just look at that, and we just showed up and said we're better than you. We're more professional than you. We don't have to stretch it. I think that the rise of NCAA and everybody playing with Georgia and having a Heisman candidate in the first half of the game is probably going to cause some people to overreact. But, we've got a lot to do. Obviously, there's some holes, but we didn't play our best game and we destroyed them.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, Caleb, you didn't even mention Peyton Woodring in your special teams rant there. 55-yarder for the kid. When the special teams, excuse me, special teams is a weapon for Georgia. Jeremy Neighbors, he's always calling in. He says, I may try to call in on my way to work, but if not, I'll listen to the podcast. Jeremy, I've been looking forward to you, Jeremy. Hopefully you can. OU Herschel Walker says, howdy, fellas. What's up, brother? Stick D's, his overreaction. Clemson player had to play dirty to attempt to give his team a chance against our boys. Yeah, what do we think about the low hit right there on Michael? Because when I first watched it, and then I saw him on the deck, I was like, oh man, this could be, season ending. It doesn't sound like it is, obviously. It sounds like it's probably, Kirby. It'll be day to day, and we'll never know truly what has gone on with Michael. They said ankle while the game was going on, and you could see that a little bit. It looked like the front of his cleat got stuck in the ground on his left foot, and his ankle kind of tweaked. Was it a dirty hit, guys, or was it just a football play that went wrong? What are our takes on that?
I don't know if it was dirty. I think the guy was trying – he realized Michael was going to come in and kill his quarterback, so he tried to make a block, and it was an illegal block, so it was correctly called. So, I mean, I think that's really the extent of it. Can't go low if you're not facing up. So, but at the end of the day, you also want to protect – I mean, if the roles were reversed, I mean, I think that if it was a Georgia running back, he'd do the same for Carson Beck in that situation, and you take the penalty. So I don't think it was dirty, but I do think, it's illegal. So you get the penalty.
I'd call it desperate more than dirty.
Ooh, desperate's.
That's a great way to play it.
You do marketing, Caleb. He's got the words, dude. He's got the words.
That's desperate.
Yeah, I'd say it's desperate, and I think that in the timing of the game, we weren't up a lot, but you could see that they realized we're not getting anywhere. We're not being able to move the ball. They've got more depth than we've got. They keep throwing these dogs on the outside, and we can't handle them. And I feel like that was the shift, and around that time. And of course, when you see people doing like that, it just motivates the line even more. And so that was probably a bad move. But
So just a quick update here, guys. Just got this hot off the press for y'all that are watching. Update on Michael Williams. X-rays were negative for Michael, so that's good. And then Warren Brinson also injured his ankle. Kirby Smart isn't sure if it's a high ankle or not. If it's a high ankle, you're probably looking at 4 weeks would be my guess for Brinson. But X-rays were negative for Michael Williams, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, so you can rest him. Yeah, you can rest him next week against Tennessee Tech and roll him out week 3.
Yep. And honestly, probably even rest him in Kentucky because that's going to be a very physical game.
True. Yeah, that might not be the best one to bring him back in
But then it's Alabama, so he's got to get reps somewhere.
He does.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. My overreaction from DBD27. Whenever it's a long paragraph like this, I feel like I should read these first, but I just throw them on the screen because everything's flying so fast. So if you're sending me a paragraph, guys, please make sure it's good. I think this one is. My overreaction. Humphreys is a stud and needs more targets. Beck's a dual threat. Whoa. Everett is still Everett and is going to get picked on. Starks is the best DB in the nation. I think I could agree with 2 of those. Starks is the best DB in the nation. Humphreys is a stud, needs more target. I don't know if Beck's a dual threat, and maybe I'm teetering on the Everett situation. I'm still teetering on him. I don't know, Jason, if Everett is going to be starting the rest of the year. The reason I think he will is the coaches love him, right? And he is that guy. Does he get picked on? Sure, but at the same time, like, how many yards did Cade Klubnik threw for 142 yards? How many of those were on Dalen Everett? Maybe 50 or 60, maybe.
Yeah. They play man. They play man, and if the quarterback puts the ball at a good spot, there's chances.
Sure, he had a couple of decent throws. Like he had a couple that were right on the money. That there was one that I don't know who caught it for them. And I'm sure it was probably Williams because he's Antonio Williams. He's got 76 yards. Where I felt like Everett was in good position on that play. It just the wide receiver made a play on the ball.
Yeah,
that's football. Like
right.
I feel like. There's a lot of guys over the years who have gotten a bad reputation from fans just because they don't understand the inner workings of the game. And we have to trust the coaching staff. I mean, for a while there, everybody was screaming about how terrible Stetson Bennett was. And they were talking about Carson Beck's demeanor. He doesn't have enough fire and all this other kind of stuff. And
Arian Smith, Caleb, case in point. His reputation is probably one of the worst on the team, and he comes out and leads your team game 1 with 56 yards and 5 receptions.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably something in the scheme that Everett fits really well, that Kirby's got going on, and probably is a little bit more physical at the point of contact, which means that he's probably going to get beat long in some areas. But you don't see him until it's a big pass down the sideline and somebody makes a great play. He doesn't make a lot of PIs, which maybe he should do more.
Right, yeah.
Maybe he should, just tackle people more. I don't know.
Caleb, I appreciate you joining. Hope you can join us again, man.
Man.
The setup looks incredible setup.
Just try to keep it real.
Hey, appreciate you, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
See you guys.
John just left. I was about to get to John. He was putting. You guys know John. You'll know John if you see his face. He was putting a glove on. I can see backstage. He was putting a glove on. I don't know what he was about to do. Don't have a clue. Here he is. He's back. John, what are you putting a glove on for, brother? Are you okay?
I'm about to pull some ribs off the big.
Okay. All right. I didn't know what was happening, my man. And then you turned the phone off on me, and I was like, dude, I don't know if I just witnessed a murder here. I don't know what's going on. John, how are you, my friend?
Good. How are y'all? It's hard,
good, man.
It's hard to overreact, but I don't think there's too much. I mean,
you're known for your overreactions, though, John. And if you don't overreact, I'm going to be kind of upset, honestly.
I've been thinking about that. I think that obviously we could have played better in the first half across both lines of scrimmage, but I want to try to convey something, and just follow me here for a second. Go back and there's 1,000 documentaries out there about Ric Flair. But one of the things he said was, and he was so passionate about saying, he was like, we were talking about the Four Horsemen. He said, we just could not wait to get to that arena and perform. Mm-hmm. I think in that vein, that's our defense, man. They just cannot. That is you talk about a standard and all those adjectives that Coach Smart uses. They are unbelievable. And I'm a huge Roquan Smith fan still, even as a diehard Falcon fan. That guy that's wearing number 3 right now may, when it's all said and done, be one of the best to ever do it at linebacker. He is unreal.
He's good.
Unreal.
He's good. He is. He is really good. Anthony Spano. Oh my God. He said, is Jason trying to grow his hair like mine? Anthony's back. Watch out. Watch out, Anthony. Oh God.
It's my inspiration right there.
Yeah, that's mine too. That's why I keep coming back, John, is Anthony. Anthony and me.
I got one more thing I wanted to ask you guys, being opening day, I know you got a lot of people on get off. Is Dabo Swinney flirting with the hot seat, even with national championships, by dying on this transfer portal hill?
Yes.
I know a lot of people don't. I like the guy, and I think I like what he stands for. I like what he's done. He was an underdog his entire early in his career, and obviously his playing career, but if he's not careful, he's going to end up – it's going to be a bad ending for him if he just continues to die on this hill.
Dude, he has to, John. He has to do something. And here's the problem for him is that he's at a really good program right now in Clemson. What other really good program is going to take him if he's not willing to work that transfer portal, right? If he's adamant that this is the way I want to go about coaching my team and bringing in guys is going to be – through their love for the team and yada, yada, yada. And we're not going to bring in outsiders because that's what they talked about, right? They, at the end of the broadcast, they're reaching for stuff to talk about when the game's, over in 34-3. It's a family atmosphere and Dabo doesn't want to ruin that family. Well, guess what? You know what ruins that family more than anything is getting your ass beat 34-3.
Losing.
Yeah, losing is going to ruin your locker room way worse than any transfer could, John.
And you talked about that, and I just got to thinking, and I certainly loved Coach Rick for what he was, but I think he kind of was dying on a lot of hills too, and it caught up with and I obviously the guy obviously easier to say because the guy's got 2 national championships here, but you don't think that ETN was sent a message with that freshman just running all over the place, and you don't think that them hitting that hit home again when they go back and they say, look, man, you put yourself in this position by making a stupid mistake.
Yeah.
Look what happened. I think you can press the same buttons as talking about a family atmosphere by, the culture you create. And again, I hate to see it. I like the guy, but I think, if there is a hot seat week 1 with a 12-team playoff, I think he may benefit from that. If it's a 4-team playoff, I think the seat is already hot.
I think it's hot. 12-team, 24-team, any team. I really do. I think those folks at Clemson got to be looking at it and going, dude, can we get some transfers in here?
Yeah.
I mean, damn. Like, yes, you can build a program, Dabo, but it's a different beast now. We just saw Georgia score, what was it, 3 touchdowns from transfers?
Yep.
Or 2?
Yep. And I think that Georgia does it the right way. They don't just take anybody.
No, they're not taking 40 guys like Dion is out in Colorado. They're taking 4 or 5, impact guys that, can help them out.
And one more thing, and I promise, is that in that vein, you guys are the experts. If you're wagering your house, or if you could wager your house, would you wager that he is not the head coach of Colorado next year? I think he's fun with his kids.
I wouldn't wager it. I wouldn't wager that yet. Not yet.
I hate to disparage anybody. I just think the guy's all about that number 2. He may not even be about 21. He's about.
Yeah. You know what? One more game, John, and I might put the house up on the market. Yeah. You beat an FCF school by 5, and then you're celebrating like that. Yeah. He gets his guys drafted and he's out. So, John, we appreciate you as always, my friend.
Thanks.
See you, dude. Hey, Jason, I've got your replacement here. You don't have to hang out with me anymore. I know you don't like to.
Oh, but I wanted to so bad.
There he is, Trent Smallwood.
I think Brent has something ready to be edited anyway, so it's a good time.
Good time.
All right, y'all take care.
I had you for 30 minutes. Now I get Trent for God knows how long. We appreciate you, Jason.
All right, y'all take care. See you,
dude. Trent Smallwood.
It ain't gonna be 30 minutes because I'm going to pick up both of you.
Yeah, I'm getting you for at least an hour, brother.
No.
Oh yeah. You hanging out. As I do with everybody that comes on the show, your initial thoughts on the game?
I just kind of overheard what y'all were saying. I think Dabo's unwillingness to adapt to college football. I think before the NIL era, he is the next Alabama head coach.
Oh yeah.
That's where he was headed, and his unwillingness to adapt. He wasn't a serious candidate for Alabama, and that's the reason why. And he's going to be behind the 8 ball. He's going to win 9 games a year because he plays in the ACC. But you can't get over the top again as a Clemson team because they don't have a generational quarterback and they just don't have the Jimmy's Joes. Defensive line's great. I like the defensive line, but they lack depth on the defensive line, and that showed in the second half. But their top 4, top 5 guys are very good. But you can't beat Georgia for 60 minutes without the Jimmys and Joes. You got to have them. That's the reason why Alabama's the only team that's done it the past 4 years because they're the only team that has that. Ohio State's the one that played them the closest behind that, and they have it too. But I'd say that's about the only 2 teams that are really on par with Georgia. But love Nate Fraser. The defense, I think, made it a big improvement. I don't know about the defensive line. I'm not sure how big of an improvement until we get back and watch it a little bit. But inside linebackers made a huge improvement. C.J. Allen, Raylan Wilson, Munden, even Justin Williams getting there at the end, making a big hit behind the line of scrimmage. Those boys are good. Those inside linebackers are good. Jalen Walker lined up at inside linebacker some. Just outstanding. I like this defense. I like KJ Bolden on the back end. I like Malachi Starks. Actually, I like Malachi Starks a little more at star because you put him in those situations where he's an excellent one-on-one coverage guy. You can blitz him, but his one-on-one coverage ability might be better than any cornerback Georgia's got on the roster. I like Georgia's defense. It's talented.
Caleb Peavy says family culture without performance/accountability equals a decay in culture. Yeah. Like I said, and they said at the end of the broadcast, there's a family atmosphere and that's why he doesn't want to bring in guys. The worst thing that can kill a family though is losing 34-3 and not helping your guys out. So it's a lose-lose situation for him there. Like I said, Michael's x-rays negative for him. Zach says great win. Maybe I missed it. What's the injury to Bell? From what we gathered, just cramps. So it was, maybe doing a little bit too much and just some cramps. So he'll be fine.
It was very muggy inside of the Mercedes-Benz, and
I bet it was.
He was.
Arthur Blank didn't want to pay for the AC, huh? He was like, "Look, close this thing up and let them all let the humidity rise in here. Let the cream rise to the top, if you will." And if with that being said, I'll let the cream. There he is. Watch out, the cream rising to the top. Look at him.
Wow.
I didn't even put you up there. I didn't even knock you down, Trent. I didn't even move you. See, like I can move people. I didn't even move you, bro. That's just Radi coming in and taking that spot.
He deserves that. He deserves to have that. You know, you might want to move yourself down too. Just let him be on the top.
Right. I don't think StreamYard will let us, but if we could, I'm sure he would move me down with you. Roddy, what's up?
We'll just do this.
Nice.
Screw both you sons of bitches.
Nice. Here's the problem though. You don't know how to go back to it. So now you do. Okay, good. Okay. You got it.
You don't know how to work the internet. No.
As we always do, Roddy, everybody gets their initial thoughts on the game. So I'll let you have yours. What's your initial thoughts here?
Fire Mike Bobo.
There was a couple folks shouting it in the stands at halftime.
Hey, would you like to self-identify as an idiot or an asshole? Yeah, yell that. And again, Mike and I are not close. We're not friends. We're not buddies. We've gone head-to-head Little League. But I was frustrated with some of it. I'm like, Branson Robinson, you keep running him. He's not quite back fully. What do you have? 7 carries and
12.
Well, yeah, I get it, but you got to try it. But the coolest thing was what Coach Don explained on the watch along show. He's like, look, we're doing these motions and seeing what they check into as we go. And now we know what their checks are. We know what plays to run next. So we're not just doing this, running inside zone into the teeth of the defense or running these little bubble screens for no reason. There's a point to it. And basically, you saw that in the second half. It's like, hell, now we know what they do. We know what their checks are. We know what their calls are. And you just eviscerated them. Plus, Carson Beck in the first half, he wasn't on target. He missed a few guys. London Humphreys, Rusovic, Ben needed to go lower. A couple guys needed to help out Carson Beck a little bit. But, you throw up 34 points on that defense, and that's a good defense. They're not great in the secondary, but you saw that defensive front. I said Peter Woods would be good. And so, in other words, people can say you started slow, but you were feeling them out. Plus, the Janelle Aguero being out, story of the game to me. This is a guy it's just like losing Marius Mims.
That big, huh?
But you practice, working all week towards this. This is your starter, and now you've got to completely change your defense. Malachi Starks at star. He played great. I loved it, but that's not what you were expecting. So you weren't where you wanted to be. So, but my point is, great job by the coaches. Once you've got some of their calls and stuff figured out, Mike Bobo just eviscerates them. The defensive coaches. Remember, you got 2 new ones back there. This is their first game with Kirby Smart yelling at those guys like they've never been yelled at before in their lives. And one of their best players is down. So they're having to adjust for that. They're trying to hide it. They're trying to, coach around it. And you give up 3 points to the number 14 team in the nation. Carson Beck, again, like I said, he wasn't as accurate to start the game, but he wound up throwing for almost 300 yards, a couple touchdowns. 2 huge plays with his feet, baby. His feet were nuts. And I couldn't help but thinking on the drive from Coach Donald's house to my house, transfer portal.
Oh, man.
Trevor Etienne is a really good back. He'll be better than Nate Fraser this year, more than likely. That's all we heard about how we started talking about Nate Fraser in the summer. We were the first ones to start talking about him. We're like, look, guys, he's just gotten here. And we're telling you from the players in practice, this kid is good. He's standing out. He didn't have the spring. But that's what everybody's talking about. They're talking about this kid, and they're talking about tight end, Ben Urasic, and Urasic. And they like Colby Young. He's really big, but, London Humphreys is good. But those guys are just still trying to find their way. You had 2 touchdowns scored by transfer wide receivers. And Dabo's known for not taking transfers and such. And I'm like,
Roddy, if I was part of that Clemson fan base right now, I would be livid.
Oh, yeah.
Because Clemson's they're not a bad program. If he wants to go out and get guys from the transfer portal, they'll come. Like, they're not going to not show up, Trent. It's Clemson. A kid from Florida Atlantic isn't going to go to Clemson and play wide receiver for them or, whatever. And then you watch Georgia, who brings in talent every year. right? 4 or 5-star prospects at every position. But yet Kirby still goes out and hand selects 4 or 5 guys each year to help solidify his program. And then you're a Clemson fan and you're like, dude, why can we not have that? You've got to be kind of upset with yourself.
Yeah, I mean, especially you look at Clemson at wide receiver, they wasn't very good last year. They bring in 2 good freshmen, but why not bring in a couple of juniors or seniors with experience to help solidify that core? But you don't, and now the freshmen might not be ready. They didn't play the whole first half. Now you're stuck with the same wide receivers as last year, and you're just behind the 8 ball. While Georgia's going out, and yes, they lost some wide receivers. They lost Brock Bowers, they lost McConkey, they lost Marcus Rosemary-Jackson, but they go out and they get experience so they can slowly move the younger guys along so they don't have to jump in game one. And now you have I don't think there's one standout guy in that wide receiver room, but there's a bunch of solid dudes in that room. And
you weren't relying on Sakobi White to come in and save you. You weren't relying on Nitro Tuggle to come in and save you. You put a red zone package in, an easy touchdown for Colby Young. He's got 5 inches on the guy that's covering him. It wasn't even a true fade. He's just like
he just popped out a little bit. It wasn't even.
He's a little inside head fake maybe or something to check on inside leverage, and then just you got him. And then London Humphreys too. And shout out to Harrison Reno, the intern, for pointing out the fact that both of London Humphreys' catches were on 3rd and long. 3rd and 10 conversion, another 3rd down. He takes it 40 yards for a TD.
That shows you that shows you Beck trusts him, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So
and the little things that are not noticed is the blocking on the outside on that long run by Dominic Lovett, that little screen pass out. Colby Young just took out a cornerback.
Colby Young killed a man.
Oh, there were several plays Lawson Lucky had that were just like, damn, the blocking from him is crazy.
Cash Jones threw a block in that killed a man. He got a pancake on the inside line, and that was a huge gainer for them. But Carson Beck with his legs, we told everybody Nate Fraser was going to be a superstar. He's better than advertised. That's I was on the way over here, heard you guys talking about it. Who's he remind you of? He's not Gurley size.
No, I said Sony. Yeah, Jason said Gurley.
Andre Swift.
I think he's a little bit better. Swift.
I just the
DeAndre Swift.
The jump cut is DeAndre Swift. Like that first move.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Cut right off that is DeAndre Swift.
But the running after though is Sony, if that makes sense. He's got DeAndre's jump cut, but then the running and like the ability to just see the field looks more like Sony to me. And it's okay. You can mix those guys together. They're all great Georgia running backs.
Same building, DeAndre Swift against Auburn.
Oh yeah. I think he might be a little better than, if we're overreacting, right? I think he might be a little better than DeAndre was.
If we're overreacting, I tweet out he's going to win Heisman.
Okay, there you go. So we're really going big, right?
We're overreacting. Let's not do this halfway.
Right. Yeah, let's jump all the way in, right?
I think what made DeAndre Swift so good was his ability to catch the ball in the backfield. And I think Frazier, he had a couple of balls in his hands. I do think he had it, but I think he's going to be really good in that category because he's always been. He was in high school. But, just continuing to learn the playbook and all that stuff is going to be his biggest hurdle. But just as a natural runner, he is a very gifted he made that cut in open field, and I was like, that's DeAndre Swift. Like, he just made that cornerback fall down.
Jermaine
he hurt Garrett.
He's Garrettson Hurst, but y'all are too young to remember him. I hear you.
I covered him, asshole.
William Carlin in the building says Herschel who? ? Yeah. I mean, let's go. If we're gonna go, let's ride. Shout out to William Carlin, big guy in my life there. If we're gonna go, let's do it, right?
Yeah.
Let's if we're gonna do it big too, let's bring on Brent Rollins. Let's just go. Let's 4-box this thing real quick. Why not? Don't want to leave him waiting too long. We've got Randy waiting. We've got Jeremy waiting. We've got to still talk about our supporters and our big guys over at Rogue. So, Brent, what you got?
I'm mad at myself. I told Dane after we did the Film Don't Lie, I said, this is going to be like Oregon, but just not as many points.
In our predictions, I literally said it's Oregon reincarnated. I'm just saying, and it worked out.
And so I'm making the prediction, and I'm like 30-6, and then I deleted 6 and put in 13. Like, late touchdown, kind of less than a minute kind of touchdown. But oh well. But no, that was, and you guys have talked about it already. Georgia's playing a different game than Clemson right now because of and for 4 quarters, like you can't keep up with them for 4 quarters if that's funny.
It is.
I could go there.
Yeah, I mean, we're all lacking here. Jason came on with this flow of locks, and it's the battle of whose hairline's pushed back further now. Dr. Steely, my favorite.
Tell me I need to get a hat, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think that's what he's saying. Yeah, where's yours? Yours, Trent. Your forehead's been looking at us for the past 10 minutes, so there's no hiding it now.
Exactly. I got 3 kids. This hair's gonna go gray here in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Good.
This is where the gray starts. I've noticed. Like Trent's already, Trent's rocking it.
Oh yeah, Trent.
Paul, you'll be rocking the gray here too soon.
Yeah. Trent's an old dog now. I remember 10 years ago when we started this thing. Trent was a young pup. Now he's getting old.
The fresh puppy back then.
Yep. Yep.
But the depth to compete with Georgia over 4 quarters. That's where teams who have it's just about having quality players. It's not necessarily having elite. It's having guys that you trust. And I think that's what kind of Kirby was making his point about at the meeting when he said, what was the phrase he used? The degradation of college football or football or something like that. It's because you don't have guys that you can trust that you put in as second guys. And Clemson's 1 through 11 defensively, very solid. And they showed that in the first half. But those guys have to stay on the field for the most part. And then you get a little knowledge of them. You adjust. They don't have the depth to stay fresh and keep making plays like they were earlier in the game. But he's mastered roster management. And, one of the things that I pointed out in the article, and you guys talk about it, Starks is another world. Like he's in another world. But the rah-rah being dismissed, it hurt depth in the room. But it also, to me, is almost an indirect positive. Dom Lovett was rarely off the field. Arian Smith probably played more snaps than he ever has today. Like those guys are going to your 3-4 guys, receiver-wise, are going to consistently be on the field. And that's something where over the past 4 or 5 years, you've had so much depth in that room that it's like, okay, hey, can we just go to one guy 3, 4, 5 times in a row? That guy wins. It's not how their offense is designed, but you're going to see more and more of those guys just get comfortable week in and week out, as long as they stay healthy. But it's kind of, to me, an indirect positive that your room and your receiver room is going to minimize some of the rotation now because of one guy that you lost.
I think you also saw it. I love Del McGee, but you saw a different approach from the running back because you saw Nate Fraser come in and get the hot hand, and they just kept him in. I mean, it was just him every drive in the third quarter, especially. It was Nate Fraser. They weren't taking him out. So
his first carry wasn't until the first play of the second quarter.
That was a little different approach than what it used to be because, Dale, I like to rotate a lot. Every 2 or 3 carries, he's rotating somebody in. But ride the hot hand, I like that. I like that approach. Yeah,
we haven't seen that since Kirby's been in Athens because he's had Dell with him the whole time. And it's always been that's been the one gripe of any Kirby offense is that one guy gets in 2 or 3 times and he's toting it 10 yards a carry. And then it's like you don't see him for the next 2 drives. Like, what the?
Yeah,
and then he puts in like a beast out there. Where's Kendall? Why is he not in?
Yeah, then you put in a 135-pound guy and had him run between the tackles. I know that's the play that was called, but leave your Phil Maffa in. Leave your Branson Robinson or your Roderick Robinson if you're running between the tackles, and don't try to throw it to, the stone hands out in the flat on a bubble screen because it's his turn. I mean, I get it. You got to keep all those guys happy, but at the same time, did that keep Andrew Paul from transferring? No. I mean, some guys are going to do it, but I think Brent nails it. You talk about overall thoughts. The first half, you're trying to feel them out. Some of the stuff you're doing is not working. Some of it's setting them up for later. You still keep trying the inside zone. Few counters, not a whole lot of power running. It's like kind of waiting for that to hit. But you go. I mean, think about it. You not only the production offense that you lost, but you lost 3 guys in the secondary. 3 guys were drafted in your secondary. You still gave up 3 points. We're talking about a freshman. We're talking about Arian Smith. There's always that 1 or 2 guys who's their 4th or 5th year that mature into superstars, the Chris Smiths of the world, Now, Tyke Smith. How long were we waiting on Tyke Smith there, Brent? I mean, you were telling us about him before he transferred. Then there's the injury. Then, he finally takes off. But you're right. I've noticed in that middle of that third quarter, the defensive front that we were talking about that was so good for Clemson. Notice those guys start putting their hands on their hips. Guys started leaning over, and Georgia's like, "Hey, we're fresh." And you thought that Dylan Bell left, but hey, here's a kid named London Humphreys. Have you heard of him before? And Arian Smith is just looking like a superstar out there. I mean, that looked like an NFL guy. So,
well, you mentioned the sort of slow play. When you also know, you look across that and you're like, they ain't scoring on us. Unless we screw up, they ain't scoring. Yeah. Like that feeling as an OC where it's like, okay, I don't necessarily have to take chances here. And then when I get those opportunities, put the hammer down and go. And I think that was part of it as well. The only one where I was just like, what are you doing? Is the little swing toss to Branson after the big play to
that one. That was
just like no. You're hitting north-south right here. Why are we going east-west there?
That looked messed up to begin with.
It looked funky. It was out the gate.
It was not good.
You wound up behind the guard
because it killed the drive. They still got 6 or still got 3 points, but killed the momentum there. That was the only one for me where I was like, what are we doing?
We got Indy Clip in the building. He says Clemson doesn't have the depth because their NIL is Jesus. Jeez. Dabo did say something along those lines. His NIL was in the name, image, and likeness of the Lord, and that was the only reason that NIL would be in his program. So
I love the way he talks, but that just don't win any football games. I mean,
it's right. It's there.
You're not preaching. You're coaching a football team.
But let's be fair, the man won 2 titles.
Yeah.
So,
but the game was kind of passed him by, though.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying it's tough to tell a guy you need to change when he's been to the mountaintop twice.
Yeah,
It's tough to say, hey, I mean, if you try to tell Kirby, change your plan, change this, we want this, he'd be like, go to hell. Do you know what I've done?
Mm-hmm.
And my confidence in my system got us here. We won twice. I'm confident in my system when we get there, but I really think it's one of the good coaches, and Kirby's a master of this. It's like, what's new? There's a new rule. How can we take advantage of it? Never, ever satisfied. And I'm so glad, Brent, that you brought up that comment. I mean, Kirby's opening comments. My team has never had such a lack of depth before. And I'm like, you've got 4 and 5 stars across the board. You have 3 guys who are the number 1 players at their position in KJ Bolden. Huge day for KJ. Ellis Robinson getting in there. Chris Cole.
Williams.
Williams.
Fraser. We already kind of.
But I'm saying. So what do you mean you don't have? Yeah, and then I think that following Tuesday, Coach Don was like, "Hey, there's a difference between depth and a roster." He's like, he's got a hell of a roster, but he doesn't have depth. And I'm like, see, and this is why I was like, I just when I think after 30 some odd years of understanding football, I'm like, I don't know anything.
There's so much in like coaching this game is a lot of games, and even some of the stuff you see with Snit and the Braves. So much of it is built on trust. I, as a coach, trust that I know I'm going to get X, Y, Z, or some minimum level of performance. If it's above and beyond that, okay, great. But trusting that you get a baseline level of performance, that you can put that guy in there, and like you're thinking about the sort of not screw up in a way. Did we hear Jared Wilson's name today? No. And when you hear that guy's name, it's usually in a negative sense, right? So,
always.
Monroe Freeling, I think, he got beat at one point, in the sack on 3rd and goal or whatever it was, but it wasn't like that was more coverage and then indecisiveness, things like that we'll get into. But it wasn't like you're bringing in those guys and now you're getting like negative plays and turnovers or dumb penalties. Like Clemson, like the fact that the penalty they had that screwed them on the one drive, when you don't line up on the ball, that's basic football 101. Line up the outside guys on the ball.
I think you're right.
First down.
Yeah, you talk about, hey, how the pressure on the offense. They're like, hey, we can take our time. We don't have to do anything crazy. We don't have to go crazy down the field. That first series for Clemson, you're like, they don't have it today.
What's funny to me, guys, I don't know if you guys saw this or not. There was somebody who posted on the board prior to the game the responses from the Clemson board talking about our score predictions.
Did
you guys
see that.
happen to see that?
Yes, I did.
Yes, there was a ton of Clemson guys on board. I don't know which board it was, but they got a hold of our score predictions. Somebody, I guess, screenshot them and put them on their board. I don't think it was the Rivals board. I think it was 247. But anyways, or on 3-1. And they basically said, hey, these guys are homers. How can they believe that Georgia's going to blow them out? Even though most of the Clemson guys said Clemson was going to win this game. They were talking about how we're all homers, how they have the money to pay 10 guys on the staff. And look at us. We might know a thing or two. We all predicted a blowout here, and that's what happened. So
we know Kirby Smart lost a damn regular season game in 40 games. So
right.
I mean, that's just the proof's in the pudding. So
yeah, the good money there is to back Kirby until they lose.
By the way, Georgia was just solid today.
Yes.
Yeah, they weren't great.
There wasn't greatness. There wasn't domination. It was just solid, quality football.
There was a touchdown pass that was thrown too high. There was the pass behind Dominic Lovett. There's some scores that were left off the board. And I'm not saying in a mean way because, I'm big on Carson Beck. He made great decisions. He got them into the right plays. Checked out of some things I thought were really
bad luck with the penalty on Arian where he's blocking for Beck.
Yeah.
A big play. You're going backwards.
Play comes back. Yeah. And again, not his fault. That was really good. Yeah. David Everett didn't have his best game. There's some. He was really good, by the way. Guy, and a 35-yard pass. There's nothing else he can do, but they still complete it. The guy catches by his fingertips. One interception that was crazy, but Georgia had 6 or 7 penalties. This was not their best effort. They're going to get better than this. They didn't have their number one running back. They didn't have their number one star. Michael Williams gets hurt. Dylan Bell has to leave the game. This is a beat-up team, but when you needed a block, London Humphreys lays one downfield. Ben lays one downfield. Cash Jones picks up a blitz. Dylan Fairchild gets a nice little trap there and keeps the second half. All of a sudden, Carson Beck had forever. Part of that was scheme, but part of it was just, those guys had worn down. So, good Lord, poor Tennessee Tech. But, 40 games in a row. So, we're all picking Georgia to kick Clemson's ass. Even me, who's the most pessimistic guy on the staff, I picked Georgia to win. I thought Clemson would score a couple.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be, like I said, similar to the Oregon game. Dawg 85 said this a couple times, and I like Dawg 85. He watches all of our shows. He said he struggled on the deep pass. I'm looking right here, deep passing 15-plus yards for Beck. He was 3 of 7 for 86 yards. So, do you consider that struggling, Brent? I'm not an analytical guy. Is that struggling?
The one behind Lovett is really the only one where I look at and I'm like, that's a miss.
Well, to me, the crossing route to Colby that was high.
Yeah, that was going to be a touchdown, was it not? Or
I think he threw it high on purpose, and the kid was dragging his arm a little bit.
Also, Colby Young is, dear God, a freak.
He's a big old boy.
While you guys are talking about the next subject, I'm going to go find a tweet. Mark Weiser of the Athens Banner Herald put out a video of him, and it caught my attention. I was like, who is that? He is a freak in warm-ups, and he's going to be a red zone nightmare for
well, if you read our 3-2-1 column, you'd know that.
I read it. What I'm saying is, though, I hadn't seen the guy without pads on out there with the rest of the guys. Yeah. I don't get media access anymore, whatever.
Well, hey, the last time we took Paul to a game, it was the last one or the biggest one I remember was taking him to that Georgia Ole Miss game, Kirby's first year. And I tell this story all the time. I'm over there saying, man, they're Ole Miss's tight ends are huge. Paul leans over because, hey, that's their wide receivers, dumbass. I'm like, holy crap.
Didn't they have DK
and all those boys? Man,
Colby Young, 6 catches for 76 yards and a touchdown against Dabo last year when he was at Miami.
Nice.
I'm just saying, hey, that's good on him.
That's got to be some
folks. If you haven't read the what just happened from Jason Butt, you need to check that out. And if you haven't read Brent's thoughts and observations, check that out. I'm going to duck out for a minute and edit them because I know they put them up with a crap ton of typos. They can't write for shit, so I got to fix it.
Probably. There's always a certain few things that I'm like, I think I'll just go with this.
Nah, they're good. They're great columns. I'm just going to jump out real quick here and edit them. I know that Jason Butt has already edited them, but we like to get 2 sets of eyes on there. So we can bring in Randy or Jeremy. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about this new Hunker bourbon.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
That is good.
All right, we'll see in a bit.
All right, I'll see y'all in a minute.
While you're doing that, here we go. Here's the tweet right here.
Hey, yo,
This
bring
is what
I gotta jump off real fast.
All right, see. Here is the tweet right here. Let me see if I can present this. I have to stop. No, can I do this screen instead? Let me see. Hold on. Sorry. Technology.
Do your thing.
I got to stop this screen.
He's impressive in person. I will.
Yeah, he
1000% agree with that. He walked right by me. So
share this tab instead.
I got it. Look at this dude's a freak. Like that's a grown man playing wide receiver right there, dude. That is AJ Brown like, DK Metcalf like in a sense almost. Like
I want to say I thought like he was listed at Miami maybe as like 6'4", 6'5", but he's a 6'3", 200 and a legit like 220.
Dude, he looks rock solid.
Yeah.
And that's what Carson needs is that outside receiver threat right there. What we need on this show is old Randy to come on with us. There he is. What's up, Randy?
Hey, fellas.
The guy with the greatest audio in the history of audio.
Greatest audio of all time. Yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. Brent, I know that my old man Paul here said that a couple times. I appreciate that, man. That's awesome.
Dude,
envious.
You could put me to sleep right now if you wanted to, Randy. Read me a lullaby and I'd be out.
Well, let's not do that.
Let's not do that. I still got some work to do today. What's your initial takeaway from the game? Sorry it took so long to get to you there.
No, that's fine. I was, it's a wild house over here too, so it's all good. Yeah. We, I don't know. I think it went pretty much like I thought it would. I actually had Clemson putting another touchdown on the board or so. But the first half was tight. I figured it would be. Second half, Georgia would show us why they're the better team. That's what happened. I do want to put a little shine on the special teams units for Georgia today. Once again, punt team, outrageous, like crazy good. And then, of course, Woodring
Is
drilling.
he best in the country, Brent Thorson?
What's interesting is at least from a grading perspective, he's not up. He's probably top 5-ish, I think, last year. But in terms of just actual hang time, I think he was 1 or 2. Like all the numbers are there.
Sorry to cut you off, Randy. I was curious. I think he's probably the best punter in the nation. I'm going to give that to him now. He's best punter in the nation. There we go.
I couldn't believe he didn't get more consideration last year for the Lou Groza. But yeah. I mean, that kid last year was awesome too. But this could be the year. We'll see. Not the Lou Groza. What did I say? The Ray guy. The Ray guy.
Yeah. We know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So special teams and then Woodring, right? Career long, could have been good from maybe 60. Just snuck it inside the upright there. So I love that. That second level of the defense showed up like I thought they would. Man, that group is impressive. Outside linebackers. And I again, family man over here watching the game with littles. So I haven't looked back at it. But what I expected to see from that group was obviously their athletic ability and their, second year in the system and all those sorts of things. But the way they would use them in disguise pressures and fake pressures, and then if they needed to get after the quarterback, dial it up a little bit, I thought those would be the guys. And we saw them flying around all over the place. So I love the way that second line of the defense looked. Everybody's already talked about Fraser. Number 3's got that bounce. And the thing I love best about him is that he does it in a phone booth. Like there was a run when he was just getting into the game where he cut like a 90-degree cut straight up the middle and almost ran over Tate Ratledge in the process. But the whole lost and lucky sealed it. He makes his cut, gets right up the middle, gains 5-6 yards. But it's just that he could do it so effortlessly and not lose his momentum, his forward momentum. That was just really nice. And we saw that chunk play, right? He had that 40-plus yard run. So when you put that explosive running game into the mix for Beck and those guys, and you've got those big-bodied wide receivers working hard down the field, I think we're going to see more of that this year. And not only from him, but clearly he's the guy right now who's showing that bounce. And if ETN gets in there and he can do anything similar, that run game is going to prove to be fierce as we get deeper into the season. I just think the bottom line is, man, they blew out a good team. The only thing that kept it from being straight up Oregon is that Clemson didn't turn the ball over as much as Oregon did because Club didn't take as many chances as Bo took. But I mean, there they are. They just handled a quality football team to open the season. It wasn't even pretty, and this unit's only going to get better from here. That's my takeaway.
And you can't run on them either, Randy. 23 attempts for 46 yards against Georgia's defense. So averaging 2 yards a carry, 18 of 29 for Klubnik, but he went only 142. So a lot of dump routes. Where can you attack this team?
And Clemson actually did it a little bit. The key, though, it's literally right up the center, right straight up the middle. Anything that Maffa got to me where he had some level of thing, other than the couple tosses in the first drive, second drive, something like that, but was like legit downhill. And you as an offensive coordinator, the level of patience it takes to just live with that and live with 4 and live with 4 and live in 3rd and 2, like it takes a different you're not normal. It's not something you're used to doing because you want to attack as an offensive coordinator. And that's what it takes. And that's what, by the way, that's what Alabama did in the SEC championship. They lived with going straight ahead and taking 5 and taking 7. And then, all right, we'll do that. But the thing the only way I thought Clemson would be able to run any way consistently was design QB run game. And they did it twice. And that's it. And that, to me, the fact that they did that twice, I would think it's one of those where if the game was in the third quarter and it's 9-0 in the third, middle of the third quarter, you might see more of like it was the time they ran Klubnik was when they were in the second goal or something like that in the third quarter. They're looking at it because it's a new world of college football. That game in the end didn't mean anything for them.
Yeah,
and they just go win the conference and they're still a 3 or 4 seed.
To your point about Alabama in the SEC championship game, the thing we knew coming in that Clemson's offensive line, they were experienced, but my question this week on the pod was, are they actually better or are they just a year older? And they had an inexperienced guy at center there. So it kind of did look like they might have been beating their head against the wall a little bit today against Georgia. But I do think that especially with Brinson going down, I didn't catch an update on him. Do we have an update on him?
Yeah, it's a ankle for him. We don't know the severity of it yet, and we probably won't know until Tuesday that they do the press conference again.
Yeah,
we'll try to get some more on him, but we don't.
My guess he doesn't play next week.
Yeah,
my guess is he takes next week off.
And I hope he doesn't, honestly, simply because they have to develop some quality depth there, right? Guys that can play winning football, as Kirby puts it, because if the game had remained close and Clemson had the patience to try to pound it with a back like Maffa, that interior defensive line could suffer the same fate they did against Alabama in that they could wear down. And when you wear down, they're human and you start to get those bigger gains and then you take control of the game. So I just think that having more players along that interior that they can count on is going to be crucial as they get deeper into this season against these other teams they're going to have to play. So I hope those guys come along.
And the point you made a little bit ago, talking about the LBs,
yeah,
I think that's where, in terms of if you think about, all right, what's the highest level for Georgia's defense? The ascension of the linebacker play offsets any decline or lack of impact play you get, to me, from the interior defensive line. And you saw it today. Raylan Wilson, you didn't see him out of position at all. He was right there. CJ Allen, downhill. Munden, where he was, you just didn't see out of position from those guys, and that's what you saw specifically from the 2 freshmen last year, now sophomores.
True.
That, to me, where you get them ascend, offsets some of that issue that you're talking about.
No, I agree with you completely. But to drill down on that just a little bit, are you saying, is it about being out of position, being in position, making the right read and play? Or are you just saying in terms of they'll be able to make more impact plays in the run game overall, leaving out what I was specifically talking about, like getting after the passer if they had to?
I running game impact from the LB spot.
Yeah.
Because so much of it is here and getting and taking a false step here and there. It's little tiny steps, or it's little tiny false steps, and that they made a year ago, mistakes that led to them not being where they need to be. The athleticism part, I got no worries for those 3 guys at all. No, and 19 and 18, like, don't have to worry about the athleticism part for those guys.
The fits today were really nice to that point directly. Like in the middle, you saw two downhill, like you said, sticking his nose in there. You saw Allen trying to get a little sideline to sideline. And you guys may have touched on it already, but the speed of this defense, if you can clean it up, like you were saying about false steps, let them play fast. This defense, it's kind of scary in how they can cover ground, right? Yeah. I mean, if they know where they're going, and they can be turned loose to see ball, hit ball, man, that's a good looking group, when you watch them get after it. And I'm glad you mentioned Miller there. That play he had late in the game, I mean, he flashed nicely. So if he just keeps doing what he's doing, that kid's going to be a player.
He's vital. He's vital to the team.
It is nice. And I think all those guys, I mean, I didn't look at the roster on the depth chart for special teams, but obviously a lot of those young dudes are playing on these special teams, and that feeds right back into Georgia being an overall solid team, right? And just smothering you with the level of athleticism that they can put on the field in all three phases of the game.
Randy, we appreciate the analysis as always, my man. Sound beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. We'll see you next week.
Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. I actually have to work.
He doesn't have to work. He's got nothing better to do.
Well, you won't see me next week. I'm going to Shane Gillis next weekend. So the Dane Young will be here taking over from you next week. But,
you fit in with the hair. Come on.
I was going to say, I mean, you jumping back on here, and now we've got it all dialed up the way it should be.
Yeah, you guys are amazing over here. So
looking nice.
Thanks, Randy.
Yeah, y'all have a good one.
All right, brother.
That's going to be fun, Ball. He's hilarious.
Oh yeah, he is. I'm really looking forward to that.
Let's get Jeremy on. Day.
He's been here for a minute, and we've got Dane waiting in the wings. Oh, you're out.
I'm going. Dane's waiting. I'm going to pop.
All right, brother. See ya. Let's get Jeremy on here. We'll get Dane, and then we've got my man Double G back in the building. Been waiting on his return. Where's Anthony Spano, by the way, too? I'm just saying.
Probably smoking somewhere.
Yeah, he might be smoking with Gary. Gary might have him in his room with him.
We'll get a heater in there.
Yeah, Jeremy, you're joining with audio only.
I'm sure he's got a Zen up in that upper lip.
Hey, you got one there, baby.
Yeah, man. I'll have to make it quick because I'm about to walk into work, man. I started a new job about almost a year ago, so I'm working 2 weekends out of the month now. So I'll just have to.
Did you get to watch the game though?
I did. That was nice. I got to watch the game. So
there we go.
That was good at least. But yeah, I mean, Randy and Brent hit on a lot of what I was wanting to say. I thought this game was pretty close to about as close as you could get to the repeat of that Oregon. I mean, even that Oregon game, you almost had a repeat of Malachi's acrobatic interception. That was history repeating itself. Yep. And to me, man, the biggest takeaway, if they can just clean up some laundry, some of that, which I don't think was necessarily their own fault. The one drive that they scored, I thought Clemson got away with a holding call when they, were able to dump it to the tight end. And then I think they ended up getting called for a late hit on the quarterback on that play. I thought that's what the announcement crew said. The drive they ended up scoring on, there was a third down where Clemson converted, throwing it to the tight end. I thought Clemson got away with holding on that. And then I thought
you talking about the one-handed catch?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing holding, but I'm sure it probably was. There's holding on every play.
Well, they held a guy in the end zone. One of Georgia's wide receivers. I was like, come on, man.
Well, yeah. I mean, even if not, if they just clean up they clean up the laundry on that one drive. I mean, you're looking at a 34-0 shutout. That was self-inflicted, wounds that helped get Clemson down the field.
Yeah, there was a couple of penalties on that drive, if I remember correctly. So,
yeah. So I mean, I thought that. Well, I think Humphrey got called for a pass interference that also kept, I think, the drive alive. Again, one that I thought was kind of a stretch, considering they were letting the guys play for most of the day. But man, my biggest thing is, Fraser, like everybody else is, I'm sure going to say, if you can get him and ETN going in the backfield, man. Oh, yeah. Other teams better just get ready.
Yeah, you got to. Yeah, you got to.
I get the feeling, though, because if you look back at that 2021 team and that 2022 team, there's always somebody who's making a play, And if you're able to have that kind of 1-2 punch with Fraser, and then it's like, oh, hey, Fraser's need to catch his breath because he just broke off a 60-yarder. Hey, throw in Cash Jones. He'll be okay. Branson Robinson comes in and gives you, your 3rd and 1 on the goal line. Who do you give it to? Well, you give it to Branson Robinson. You throw it, give it to him. You have to have all those role players. You have to have somebody who recovers the muffed punt, and maybe that's Sokovie White. So if we wanted to have overreaction, Jeremy, you know as much as anybody, you were with us for the 2021 and 2022. We're having a hard time mentioning all the guys who had a good play, who had a good block, who had a good tackle. Jalen Walker, how the hell have we not been talking about Jalen Walker all day?
We haven't really mentioned his name much. He led the team in tackles and had a sack and a half.
He was everywhere. Michael Williams with the identification, the tackle for loss that killed the drive. I mean,
yeah, 2 of those, yeah.
Yeah, you just got to have those. CJ Allen everywhere. It's the one thing that drives the other teams crazy is when you can point to 13 different guys who changed the outcome of the game. Do the same. Who stood out for Clemson?
That one number 17 guy, he kept making a lot of tackles. I can't remember his name, but man, he was frustrating me. That guy seemed to.
Woodaz.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, and their tight end.
Yeah, that one-handed catch that stood out to me.
But again, you see my point. The difference between a good team, a team that maybe play for the ACC title, and a championship team is there's 47 guys. When you start handing out helmet stickers, like Paul only wants to give away 2 or 3, and I'm like give away about 50. When you're having to go down the list and give everybody on the roster one because they made a game-changing play, that is the level of a championship team. And I'm not saying Georgia's going to win the championship, but I feel a hell of a lot better about it right now than I did 4 hours ago.
Absolutely, guys, man. That's all I got. I gotta walk in, but hopefully,
get in there. Get in there. Clock in, brother.
Hopefully, I can.
Hey, quit for having to work on a Saturday. That's bullshit.
I know, man. Anyways,
see you, Jeremy.
Go, man. I'll listen to the podcast.
All right, brother.
Jeremy, we gotta get Jeremy a different job.
Yeah, he's a friend of the show. He's a friend of the show. We will bring on Dane real quick, and then we'll get to Gary. We'll do a 4-boxer with Gary because Gary's too much fun for any of us to miss out on. But your initial thoughts there, Dane. You look a little red already. Have you been drinking?
Not yet. In fact,
okay, good.
I was opening the Hunker bourbon on air for the first time because this is brand new. Radi, I think you've already got a sip of it.
Dude, this stuff is phenomenal.
Well, ASW Distillery has done it again.
Damn, that's good. I don't care. And again, they could pull their sponsorship right now. I'd still buy this.
It's good, huh?
What's the flavor profile, dude?
This is phenomenal.
See, are we going to do that though? Are we going to flavor profile bourbon on this show? I don't know if this is
Tell me what this tastes like as I get into it.
The last time I had this was after Georgia had beaten Kentucky. We had some Angel Rare 10 in the that really fancy bourbon bar up there, and that's what it reminded me of.
Ooh, that's an easy drinker. That's dangerous.
I'm just saying that is smooth.
Woo!
That's smooth as a baby's butt.
So yeah, I'm big fans of ASW. I'm so glad they're back on the post-game show this year, and this needs to be at every tailgate. So Tennessee Tech, it's gonna be great weather. You need to have this there for your bourbon of choice. They have the Hunker vodka too last year. So
I did see a good bit of tailgates that had bourbon on them, but the vodka was the Hunker vodka. But guess what, guys? Now they have the Hunker bourbon as well. So you need to add that into the rotation. I don't think a lot of people know that they have the bourbon.
Just launched. I'm not gonna. We have like some of the first of this.
Yeah, we literally have like the first 100 bottles.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So folks don't know that it's out yet. People do have the Hunker vodka. I saw on multiple tailgates on Twitter, and so now they need to add the Hunker bourbon. It is out, so make sure to check out ASW Distillery.
So we didn't know what it tasted like.
Yeah,
and just now, I mean, celebrating Georgia thrashing Clemson, which is you always got to love that. But I mean, to start the 40th regular season win. I've been doing this since 1993, covering the team. 40 regular season, and then now tell me they weren't one of the best 4 teams to be in last year.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, if they get in last year, they're probably they have a 3-peat, I think, right? And then they're just continuing dominance this year.
Yeah, I think they'd. I don't know if they'd beat Michigan.
I think it would have been really close. It would have
been closer than when they faced him in Miami and just beat the brakes off of him. But, Michigan had 13 guys drafted. I mean, that was a loaded team, but that late in the season, it would have been a much better game than what they played. So,
yeah.
Quick takeaways from me, Paul. One, Clemson's defense is good. What Georgia did to them in the second half is mighty impressive. We're going to look back on this and say there's so much talent on that Clemson defense. Their offense is a bit of a mess, and I get that. I think that they'll have some playmakers emerge throughout the year. That team can still go win the ACC. And there's a chance there's a chance Georgia could see them again in the playoff.
Radi, you think so?
No.
I don't.
I think they're better than Florida State to me.
My pick was Virginia Tech, and they just lost to Vandy.
Right. So who in the ACC?
Hey, wait,
saying Georgia Tech's going to go do it?
Yeah, Vandy won.
OT.
Yeah. That was my pick. I had Virginia. I did actually some homework for my Sunday show. Eddie and Andy always give me crap for that. I did some homework. I looked at Virginia Tech. They had 20 returning starters. I was like, yeah, this is the squad, and they lose to Vandy. So I get where you're coming from, Dane. I could see Clemson getting in just for the reasoning of, I did see a tweet. It said, hey, guys, legally, somebody does have to make it to the playoffs from the ACC. So there is a team that has to make it.
Right. And right now, you would say the most impressive team is Georgia Tech. But it's so early. We just don't know.
And you go look at Georgia Tech's schedule. It's not great. So you might be right. You might be onto something. Clemson
it might be Miami.
And Clemson dominated Georgia Tech last year. So
you know what? Miami. I'm taking Miami.
What's that Miami score?
Yeah, what is that score, Dawg? 85? Help us out.
I mean, I hate to be I'll be a hater on this. I don't know that whipping Florida is that big of a mark. You know what I mean? Like, Georgia beating Clemson is much more impressive than Miami beating Florida, in my opinion.
Now, here's the thing. You want Clemson to be in the playoffs. You want them to be there.
Sure.
You got to win over them. You need them to go undefeated the rest of the way. We know that the system is a BS system with the Dogs being left out last year. I know I keep banging that drum, but I was offended on their behalf. The effrontery to say the number one team who barely loses a game in postseason goes from 1 to 6. And teams that had regular season losses get to move up. And I'm like, that is some BS. And the whole point of having the committee was to pick the 4 best teams. And by any judgment, any criteria, you're going to tell me that they were the number 6 team in the nation? That was weak. So whatever you can do to guarantee that you have a high spot. Because, again, if Georgia loses to Texas, they lose to Ole Miss, if they lose to Alabama on the road, those are 3 tough road games. You've got this good win over Clemson in your back pocket. Maybe you don't make the SEC championship, but you're still hosting a game right into the playoffs. There's kind of that sweet spot that you can navigate. So this is a huge win. It sets up very well for the rest of the season. And I think that we saw evidence of what Georgia could be. Hey, and give Carson Beck a little – he was on the national stage, mediocre first half, crazy second half. There's a lot of Heisman voters be like, okay, 278 yards, couple touchdowns, no interceptions, great decisions, ran twice to make first downs.
I'm going to piggyback off this because I have 3 takeaways here. One, Paul, you remember this week on your show last year, I made the proclamation that Georgia would not win a national championship with Carson Beck. That was so wrong. He made me look so wrong. And it may end up being, technically correct if Georgia doesn't win a title with him. Fine, whatever. But, Georgia's good enough to. And that's the point of that. Carson Beck, after what Radi just said, a slightly mediocre first half. Georgia has a 6-0 lead on Clemson. Third quarter, 5 of 10, 99 yards, touchdown, 10 yards rushing. The most impressive part of that to me, because those are great stats and Georgia really got moving, especially after the third down to Humphreys. That really opened up Georgia's offense from there. To me, Beck never put the ball in trouble in the incompletions. And I thought this was one of his best performances at Georgia in terms of managing the game, helping the other players around him, like Kirby says. That stat line's not going to indicate that. But it looked like he was in control to me. Couple passes not completely accurate, but his decisions for like 99% of the time were the right ones as far as I could tell. So for as much as I dogged on him this time last year, I have a lot of praise for him this time this year. Second takeaway, I like that when Cash Jones scores a touchdown, I literally get like 5 or 6 texts. Like that's just become my character, and I'll take it. My third takeaway,
I knew it. Like I knew one of them. I was just hoping it wasn't. Right?
No,
but
it is.
was.
It's always going to be. If he doesn't play, I'm going to wedge it in there. Fine. My final takeaway: the best player on this football team to me is Jalen Walker.
Yeah, that's bold stance.
That's
y'all asked for overreactions on this show. That's mine. I think Jalen Walker is the best player on this football team.
Right. So that's a bold stance there, brother. I mean,
I'll stand on that for the rest of the season. I think that guy is special.
No, what's special is getting. Do you see them playing small Munden outside?
Are you just talking about the composition of what they can do when you have Munden, Walker, Michael, C.J. Allen?
Whew. I'm just saying, Smile Munden playing outside, bringing Jalen in. Glenn Schumann got into his bag.
Dude, is this the last year Kirby can hold on to Glenn Schumann?
Absolutely.
And this has got.
He ain't going nowhere.
You don't think so?
I disagree, Roddy. He about to get paid. He about to get paid.
By who?
The next Oregon, the next whatever that comes around. I'm not saying he's going to leave for just any job, but he's the next Dan Lennox. He's good.
If the Florida Gators move on from Napier like we all think they will,
he's really good.
Would he go there?
Yeah. If Napier leaves Florida, is he going to Florida?
Hell no, he's not going to go down there. Kirby will kill him.
Oh, I mean, yeah, but like you still take that payday.
That's a big.
Oh no, because you're going to have to get Kirby to sign off on it. Kirby is going to kill him.
You don't have to. Well, okay, I see what you're saying. You have to go tell Kirby at some point, but Kirby doesn't have to sign off on it.
And be like, no, you can go to the Pac-12, you can go to the Big Ten, you can go to the ACC. You're not going to be in my. We ain't playing every year.
Yeah, this is like transfer rules. You're not transferring within the conference, brother.
I mean,
Carl Thomas.
Here's the thing: there's a lot more to being a head coach. I would see him taking a defensive coordinator position in the NFL before he does that.
Oh, yeah. He looks like an NFL DC, like a guy that could go up there and crush it there too. Carl Thomas says, I agree, Jalen Walker definitely the best player. That's okay.
Hey, Carl Thomas is a big fan of the show. He's been here forever.
My boy Brett Weimer, he did look good, Dane. Hamp, first comment for Hamp today, says yes on Jalen. He says Jalen over Michael.
Hamp, are you drunk?
Man, all right. Maybe. Oh, hold on. Dawg 85 says agree. Dang, look, I think that we're putting a little too much into the overreaction here.
Let's go.
This is,
and I say this. Do you remember how Roquan Smith would go make plays and be like the guy that either he made the play or it didn't happen? Jalen did that essentially on 2 plays in a row to force a punt. It was like
that was
second and 1, third and 1. Yeah. And I'm not saying that he and Roquan play a lot differently. I'm not saying that.
Completely different guys.
I'm just saying in terms of like solo person making an impact there, and then also how he plays off the other people. I think this year Georgia's thing that it has that no one else has, and you always have to find that in college football, is Michael and Jalen playing off of each other. We saw that unlocked at Florida State. Now we're seeing it like this season as well, and I will not hold on.
Hold on, Pimp. He said, "Hold on, Pimp. Hold on."
Will not.
Listen, brother, man.
Yeah, look,
we ain't there yet.
I think Dane makes a good point in the sense that we all expected Jalen Walker to do what he did today at some point, right? We all said from day one, we were like, hey, this guy's going to go to media days. He is that type of guy for Kirby. And then we saw flashes of it. We saw it in high school. Like, damn, this kid's really good.
Oh yeah.
But they just kept stacking the outside linebackers and inside linebackers with just talent. And it almost felt like, it really did, that Jalen Walker had been passed over a little bit. And I think that he had. And he comes back this year and he leads the team in tackles against Clemson. Week 1 has a sack and a half. I think everybody got what they wanted out of Jalen Walker.
Oh, and that whole unit. Raylan Wilson was great today.
Yeah. I mean, it's a plug-and-play system with, 6 or 7 guys? And we don't even talk about Chaz Chambliss. He's out there almost every damn play, too, doing his thing.
He went right at Chaz on, like, the second play of the game, the pitch outside. And I saw there's Chaz on the edge. I'm like, yeah, against 2 blockers. And he still kept him. They still didn't get a first down. And again, I'm not trying to take up for anybody. It's just sometimes you have to, like, people were busting on Dalen Everett for giving that long pass. I'm like, he was in perfect coverage.
Perfect.
The guy caught a fingertip pass falling on the ground. I mean, sometimes you just, hey, that guy won. It's going to happen to you. But the thing about Jalen Walker, again, I've been doing this a long time. I went up and covered, after his commitment ceremony. I went to an interview in the hallway with him, and there was like a 3-page thread on the vault at UGAsports.com raving about, man, what a great interview. Who is this kid? He's amazing. And I'm like, well, if he plays like he talks, he's a superstar. And we didn't see that because here's the thing. When you watch him at practice and you go and watch the inside linebackers, he's bigger than all of them. Now, who are you going to take off the field to put Jalen Walker at inside linebacker? You're taking Smile Munden off? No, Kirby Smart says he's one of the top 5 players he's ever had. There's top 5 athletes. You're taking CJ Allen off? Hell no. Okay. Now you're getting a situation where he's that 3rd inside linebacker. Remember, you had 3 inside linebackers drafted in one draft. So now you kind of got that situation going on. But when you take him and you watch him practice with the outside linebackers, he's smaller than everybody else. He's an absolute tweener. Too big inside, too small outside, but really good. How do you work him? That's why I want to rave about Glenn Schumann and Chidera Uzo-Deribe working out a system to get him out there. And having Clemson just guessing sideways, like, what? Wait, why is number 2 lined up outside? Here comes 11. Jalen was everywhere, and it feels like you finally figured out how to use the tweener to your advantage. And
yes. There's been a lot of them in the past few years that we've thought, right, could do that. And they haven't been able to use it.
Nolan Smith.
Oh, God, yeah.
To me,
there have been so many of them that we haven't seen yet, Dane, that we're like, hey, man, this guy's really good, but where does he get on the field? Where does he play? Jalen Walker finally shows us, hey, they can put him on the field. They can.
Isn't he the evolution of a Channing Tindall? Of like, holy crap!
Oh yeah.
But you use him differently. But again, he is that number 3 guy. You had Quade Walker. It's like,
yeah, you're going to take Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean off the field to put Tindall in? No, but you'll make certain packages for Tindall. I think Jalen Walker's better than Tindall, and I love Tindall. Like Channing was my guy. But
you see what Quay Walker and they're doing in the NFL.
Yeah.
Lord.
Yeah.
So I'm with you there. I still don't know that he's the best player out there because that's tough. Michael Williams was doing Michael Williams stuff today.
I mean, he's
that -5 loss with just sheds a blocker like that kid is, in middle school.
Well, and look, if it's not Jalen, it's Malachi Starks. That's the 2 to me, and Carson
Starks.
Beck's right there too.
Starks is crazy. I mean, he's crazy, but
Kirby said Champ Bailey. Like that's what Starks reminds him of, and like Kirby does not do hyperbole. Like he was wowed by him today.
I don't know why. I just middle linebackers for me get my love, and Braylon Wilson and CJ Allen. All right, coming in after the middle linebackers that they've had, it's quite impressive. It really is.
Here's the thing: middle linebacker is a lot like a quarterback.
Yep.
I remember just watching Bears games to watch Mike Singletary. I'm just like, hey, this guy's just fascinating.
You're showing your age here, but yes.
But I'm not a Bears fan.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, oh crap, Bears are on, and I'm looking for his number.
Paul's just saying we grew up with Urlacher.
Yeah, right.
You watch him.
But it's the same exact thing he's saying though. If Urlacher was on TV, you'd stop and watch Urlacher.
Who's the guy for Carolina that you stopped and watched?
Luke Kuechly.
Yeah, he was like, I gotta watch Luke.
Yeah,
I hate this team. I don't like the quarterback, but I'm gonna watch him to watch Luke.
Patrick Willis.
Patrick Willis is saying, yeah, that's what I feel like with CJ Allen, and now Braylon Wilson's starting to kind of tickle that itch for me too with the middle linebacker.
I don't need to know about what itches get tickled, Paul.
Look, some of them need medication. Okay, can we get a Brett Thorson call out? Weapon, we already did. We called him out earlier. Several people have.
Some people are just not tuning in because they're waiting for the other game in.
Party, Josh. That's why. Damn it. No, he's an absolute weapon, man. And we talked about. I think
he's not going to show up on any like longest punting average because.
No.
I mean,
I think Ray
pinned him 2 or 3 times.
Ray Guy award for him if he can get enough punts is the thing, which he complains about in previous years. talking about with Stetson and Carson doing so well. Guys, it's time. I think it's time to bring him on. Is it time to bring him on?
Hey,
there he is. Oh no, was it ready?
No, go
You
ahead.
ready for this? There, my man. God dang it, boy.
How y'all doing, bro?
You been, brother?
Hey, I got one thing. I got one thing to ask y'all before we get started.
Hell yeah, what you want?
How much time we got left?
Unlimited, Gary. Unlimited.
It's
Go.
the internet. It just goes forever.
It's really
First off, I want to apologize to y'all for disappearing after last year.
Yeah, thank you. Where you been?
Okay. Don't get me wrong. I'm a diehard Georgia fan. Diehard. Been all my life. But I do watch a lot of college football. And with the committee leaving Georgia out, the committee leaving Missouri out, and okay, I don't know I should say this. What time it is, but this shit with Michigan and all the other shit that went on last year in college football, I got burned out. I just had to take a break.
Yeah.
Or I would have quit watching.
Sometimes you gotta do that, Triple G. And Goat Dog's glad you're back though. Big Thomas County Central. You got fans, Gary. That you have.
And you know what? We rank number 6 in the nation right now. In high school.
Quit playing.
I thought you were talking about Georgia. I'm like, what the hell?
No, not Georgia.
My bad.
Roy D. Mercer's brother, Gary. You're Roy D. Mercer's brother. You know Roy D. Mercer?
No, I don't know.
You gotta look that up.
So if you were burned out, what brought you back? Was it just the start of the season? You got a fresh
I love college football. I just love it. I just couldn't handle the off season this year. I just had to take a break.
So was this the first that you had heard of Nate Fraser?
No, I've heard a little bit about him last year on the recruiting side.
Okay. But this is the first time with him being Georgia stuff that you've heard of him.
Yeah, boy. I got my overreaction is when ETN comes back, is he still RB1?
Yes.
That's my overreaction.
Yes.
Look, Dane, we answered that quick. B and you both said yes fast. Roddy kind of shook his head. I think.
Oh, he is. I got no question, but I'm just saying
he is. But how much did this is a good question, Gary. How much did him not playing in this game and Nate Fraser getting the opportunity, getting 11 carries for 83 yards and 7.5 and a 40-yard long and a touchdown, how much did that take away from ETN's future?
0.
I don't know. Honestly, because y'all compared him to Swift and Gurley, but y'all missed the obvious one. No Sean Marino. That's who he reminds me of. The pure cuts and the pure speed out of the cuts.
Here's the thing. He needs to be hit a couple of times. The thing about No Sean Marino, when guys would come in from the side and hit him, his body would sway to the right. His upper body would stay north and south, but he looked like a hurdler. If you ever watch a guy run the 110 hurdles.
Yes. Yep.
And you know how their hips just go over, but their head stays the same height the entire way?
That's right.
That's No Sean. I didn't see him do that kind of off-balance stuff. So he could be No Sean yet, but No Sean had the best balance of a running back I've ever seen in my life. To this day, I believe he could go up onto a balance beam and do a triple back layout, not miss.
But I think some people forget about No Sean, though.
I think you are right. You are 100%.
Because
right.
No Sean only played for us for 2 years.
You're right.
Before he went to the NFL.
1,000%.
He missed 10 games in 3 years. You're correct.
Yeah. He's the lost child of the running backs, if you will, that just nobody talks about that was really, really good.
And are we going to take back the mantle of RBU?
Take it back. Where did it go? Yeah, who had it?
Yeah, who took
it? Well, LSU was claiming it there for a little while.
It definitely, if anything, it'd be Alabama.
Yeah. I think Georgia still got it.
I think so too.
They also say they don't smell like corn dogs, but we know that's not true.
And I know a lot of people going to complain about the slow starts and all. I ain't really concerned about that because we went through this last year.
Right.
Okay. And what we got to understand is, yes, this is Carson Beck's second year, but this is also a new chapter in his career at Georgia, because he didn't have his two top weapons from last year. He had to get comfortable again with the people that he had on the field. So that could explain a little bit of Beck's slow start.
When does Gary lie on this show, guys?
Well, here's the thing.
Hey, part of to be fair though, you also had a penalty in there.
Yeah.
You know, that ain't on your quarterback, that ain't on the offense. When you have somebody screw around and F up, then that's on them. So that's not fair to assign to anybody but the person who made the mistake.
And we as fans, or we now as fans, we don't remember what football used to be. Okay. We are now in the instant gratification age of everything, including football. But what we got to remember is that every football player in the game isn't designed to get a touchdown. It is assigned, certain plays are assigned to pull up the weaknesses or the tendencies of the other team so we can exploit them farther along in the game. That's just like I was talking about running up the middle last year. Running up the middle don't necessarily mean that we're going to run up the middle all day. But you got to run up the middle if you want to open up the outside dump off pass.
It's Greg Maddox throwing the fastball to set up the changeup.
Correct. You use the baseball term, throw that changeup to set up your fastball, or vice versa.
And wait till you have a team that doesn't have a Peter Woods on it. When you start running inside zone against a Tennessee Tech or an Ole Miss or an Auburn or anybody else you're going to face, Kentucky, you don't. Now, I take it back. Is Deion Walker still at Kentucky?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Kentucky's going to be a tough game. I'm going to tell y'all, Kentucky.
Not him, but basically anybody else. So when you run counter, you run power. Sometimes you're running between those tackles with a lead block. You got to do it. It's especially with the way they bring it up the linebackers and such. You block it right between the tackles, it's a 30-yard game.
I'm glad you brought up Kentucky. Because how do you think Kentucky going to do with our backup quarterback from last year, this year?
And your backup inside linebacker?
And backup inside linebacker.
What you think, Gary? You tell me.
They stud. They just wasn't stud enough for us. I mean,
Gary, we have somebody in the chat asking Triple G, how many cans of snuff does one go through on a college football Saturday?
I don't stuff, so I can't answer that. I smoke.
Do you know people that do use snuff?
Well, my granny used to dip the old-fashioned snuff, the red peach.
Yep.
I sold a bunch of that back in the day.
Oh,
you sold it.
And she went through a lot of it.
Quality Food Depot in Conyers, baby. We had a bunch of old ladies come in. They buy that snuff, man.
Yeah. See,
was it red peach or Georgia peach? I don't remember. It was something like that. It had a peach on the can.
What about the white chalk, Gary? You know about the white chalk?
Kalen, baby.
White chalk.
I eat Kalen every week.
You're really not. You're not.
That's the mines in Sandersville, isn't it?
Yeah. Gary, we appreciate you more than you know, man. You really make my day. You know that?
Yeah, but I still don't think the NCAA has solved all this problems in college football either.
Gary, just lean into the games. We're back to the games now. You can leave all the other stuff. We'll talk about it in the offseason when you're not around and you take
yeah. You're just here for the games now.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that stuff.
But everybody think this 12-game playoff is going to solve everything in college football, but it isn't unless the committee change the way that they vote the teams into the committee. I mean, into the playoffs.
It's gonna solve one thing, and that's to sell more commercials, and that's the problem to solve.
Yep.
Yeah, but you're gonna get people, company losing money because people are turning off games at halftime in the playoffs. Like what happened a few years ago with Georgia and TCU. Come on, tell me.
He's not wrong.
Tell me how many teams actually deserve to play for a national championship.
I think that their bet is that TCU versus, I don't know, Ole Miss or TCU versus Louisville would end up being a game more competitive. It's not always going to be TCU versus Georgia.
That's what they're going for.
I'm just saying you opening yourself up for that.
Just like TCU Michigan was a hell of a game.
Yes, but and that's what gets back to me. I was going to skip all over this, but because Radi had already touched on it. If anybody think that if Georgia would have got in the playoffs last year, if anybody think that Georgia wouldn't have won the national championship, they're crazy as hell. Because they would have did the same thing to Michigan that they did the year before, the 2 years before that, or whatever it was. Because
I agree, but they would have still probably had to beat Milroe at some point, and they didn't do that on that chance they got. So
yes, but you know why?
That was the
curse of the Mercedes-Benz. Tear that motherfucker down and build us a new one. Oh, I'm sorry. Tear it down and build us a new one.
And they won there today.
Yeah, about to say 34-3 today. That was great.
But that wasn't against Alabama.
Oh, it's Nick Saban at the stadium, so they got to keep him. Okay.
Hey, a good spell has multiple components, and one of them is location and ingredients, and it's Nick Saban inside Mercedes-Benz. That is a spell that your grandma used to make the sign against the evil eye when she knocked her snuff in to tell you good night. So
you're saying there needs to be a crusade against College Game Day going to the SEC championship. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah, I guess so, because
Crusaders, man.
But and another thing everybody got to talk on. I don't want to get into it right now because I don't want to make it long. How good is Alabama going to be post Nick Saban?
We'll find out.
Yep.
These are questions.
And if we actually do something this year, people can't say, well, their strength of schedule ain't no good. We got if I'm not sadly mistaken, our strength of schedule is the third most difficult this year.
Yeah, you are right.
Correct?
You've never been, Gary, there's one thing that you've never done, and that's been wrong on this show. So, Gary, excuse me, we appreciate you, Gary.
I appreciate y'all too. I just wanted to let y'all know me disappearing isn't a habit. It was just the multitude of everything that happened last year.
Well, will you come back next week? Because I'm filling in for Paul next week when he's gallivanting.
And Paul, I got one more thing to say to you, bud. If anytime, I like to wait till later on in the show for Rowdy to come in.
Right.
But if you ever need a filler like you did today, you can say, "Come on, Gary, hop on in here," and we'll go ahead and do it from the start.
I don't think you understand, Gary, how much I would love that. I would love that. So I might do that. You might. You know what, Gary?
No. You heard him. He waits till I come on the show, baby.
But he said, if I want him,
hey, I can always come back in at the end.
Yeah. This isn't a one ticket. All right, Gary. Much love, my brother. Be good.
Love y'all too, guys. Be blessed.
See ya.
I'm gonna slide out too, friends, because I know y'all got more folks to get in here. But
all right, brother.
If people want more of me, they'll get me next week.
Yeah. Dan will be here taking over. I'm sure the ratings will be great. So
Tennessee Tech. Yeah.
Yeah.
See you, fellas.
Dave.
That's a drive-by.
It was a quick drive-by. Yeah. I'm glad you caught that.
I saw something from 704 Dawg earlier today. I retweeted. It was the Nate Fraser touchdown where he basically did a homage to Todd Gurley and Sony Michel. I thought it was very nice. But listen to this, Paul.
Well, most of the guys in the portal aren't good enough to play for us.
Yeah.
Well, most of the guys in the portal aren't good enough to play for us.
Could you hear that?
I did, yeah.
Most of the guys in the portal aren't good enough to play for us, says Dabo Swinney.
Here's the problem for him, man, is like I said earlier in the show, if Clemson does get sick of him, which I think that they are, I think that they're getting sick of this whole stick that he's running here. Who's going to hire him when his ideology about the transfer portal is such? Because if you go to a new school now, Radi, you're expected to probably lose 20 to 25 guys just because it's a new coaching staff and a new regime. You're going to have to then backfill those spots and use the transfer portal, but he doesn't want to use it. So who's going to hire him?
We made a big deal of it. I think this is like the last straw, you know. And remember, last year Kirby brought in basically what, 2 guys, Rara and Dominic Lovett. You know, he didn't go heavy into it. This year he did.
Yeah.
But shout out to the kid from UCLA, the snapper.
Oh yeah, yeah. Under the radar guy that you don't talk about unless he messes up.
You lose William Moat, and all of a sudden you bring in a guy who's really good. I mean, that's.
Ooh, look at this. Look at William Carlin coming in here hot. First 30-point loss for Dabo since 2014. 10 years. Hey,
it's also the first time, 2014 was the last time Clemson scored an offensive touchdown against Georgia.
Damn. 20.
They didn't play until 10
they're
years.
They're going crazy over in Clemson right now. Gary says he'd have to be in high school football. He wouldn't have a job in the college game. What you got?
I know you're going to bring on Ben and Eddie and John, but I want to mention we should have mentioned them earlier in the show.
We should have.
Our sponsor for the Postgame Overreaction show is the Rogue Shop. Now, let me give you a real quick rundown on the Rogue Shop. Former military guy, former college athlete. This is a guy who's got hurt in the military and he was like me. He's like, drugs are bad, okay? You know, just never wanted to do anything with drugs, anything with, heard all the stuff about THC and just it's like, look, I mean, my body's a temple. I'm an athlete. I'm a warrior. I'm not going to do any of that stuff. But he got hurt. And it's like, well, we need pain medication. And he did not want to get hooked on opioids or some of this other stuff. So somebody recommended cannabinoids for their anti-inflammatory properties. And he did his research. And he and his wife opened up the Rogue Shop. And so they come up with gummies and lollipops and all sorts of stuff, baked brownies. But their biggest seller are the tinctures and the gummies that are good for chronic pain. I have a knee issue. I need to get the meniscus replaced. I need to do it for years. But I tell you, I walk 6 miles, when my knee's hurting me, a quarter of one of those gummies, the knee pain goes away. My best friend Cheryl down in Pensacola, she's had insomnia for years. These are the only things that help her go to sleep. So this is a medicine company. They have some fun gummies, but the creation of Rogue Shop was to advance people who had chronic pain issues or insomnia, and they fix it. Now they have a promo code, Bulldogs10, and that you can use that to get 10% off of any of your orders from the Rogue Shop. Try them out. Again, one of our staffers reached out to them and wanted to get some stuff, and it wasn't sure. If you go on their website, Charmaine, the co-owner, she'll walk you through it. She'll do live chat with you the whole time. So it's not like you're going to a giant corporation. And I remember this guy, he bought thousands of dollars worth of gear to make his own gummies instead of outsourcing it to somebody else. He's like, I don't like the quality of the candies they're making. So I bought a bunch of candy machines. So they're top shelf. They advertise all over the Rivals Network. Check out our friends at the Rogue Shop, and you'll be glad you did.
Love them. Good guys, too. Really good guys. They're great guys, but these two that we're about to bring on, I don't know if we can say the same. No, we can't. We can't. Eddie from Ackworth, pleasure as always.
Boys.
Ben Choppy Bachman. We meet again.
Nice seeing you, Paul. I actually was going to come on when you guys had Dane on. I was saying pissed off at somebody. It was him because you guys were talking about running backs and he didn't talk about his favorite.
No, he did.
He did. He did.
Nonstop.
Yeah.
He didn't talk about cash.
Oh,
he
did.
Had money prop and everything ready for him.
Damn. You don't have any money?
No, I had a fat stack of cash. I was going to show it up to him, but
We don't pay you enough to flash cash, baby.
No, definitely not.
What initial thoughts, Eddie? What you got?
Boys, I hope y'all are well. Happy Saturday football. Georgia's back. All by myself, Paul. Thanks. I appreciate it.
I didn't do that shit.
Okay. All right. Somebody did it.
I swear. That was Radi. I promise.
That's fine. I'll just sit here and talk. That's no problem.
Don't screw up.
Yeah.
I just want to thank KJ Bolden first off the bat for not going to FSU. That's
huge.
Humongous. Now I missed some of the show, guys. What was Jonel Aguero's problem? Was he hurt? Why was he out?
Muscle pull.
When did that happen, Roddy?
Monday.
Oh, okay. So it's a recent thing. Okay.
I'm gonna go fill my water up, Eddie, while you're live broadcasting the show for us. I'll be right back.
But I can't do anything. I'm not broadcasting anything. I'm sitting here talking.
You have to keep talking. You can't stop talking. You'll ruin the show.
That's fine. I'm happy to do that. Tale of two halves. I know that's been brought up. The Georgia team did get pushed around a little bit in the first half on the lines of scrimmage, which was a tad concerning. But you just never felt, guys, that this game was ever in doubt, did you? Even when it was 6-0 going, and it's a post-game overreaction show. I'll go ahead and say it. What the hell was that at the end of the half? We've seen that out of Kirby before. It was just kind of no sense of urgency. You can double your score there, get a score there going into half. You get another one coming back, hopefully, when you get the ball back in the third quarter. That was just, I don't know. They just kind of pissed away an opportunity there to really, in my opinion, put the game away there. But I am certainly not.
When Aaron Smith had the fair call, the block there, legal formation.
Yeah.
Once that happened, they're like, okay, we get the ball to start the second half.
Yeah.
We're not going to take any crazy chances. Remember, Kirby does everything based on a percentage. And if it's 34%, this will work, 33% it won't, he'll take the first one. And so when you're that far behind, he's like, okay, we'll run some inside zone. We'll run a power. We'll run counter. If it works, it works. If not, we'll go into the half with a lead, 6-0. And we have some, we'll get our guys rested, check out some help of these guys. But if he ever on there, it's set up perfectly. 3 minutes, 3 timeouts. You've got the ball. You're going to get the ball to start the second half. You could blow the whole thing out here. You have what looks like a great play, but then it's called back and you go back another 10 yards. He's like, okay, he doesn't want to do anything stupid. And what did he talk about during the halftime? He's like, we gotta run the ball. We're not doing that. We got to stop them on, our defense is doing good, but we got 0 turnovers.
Right.
He's adamant about the turnovers, so you don't start launching the balls downfield where they are on the field with that amount of time left. So again, he's super conservative, especially in a tight game. But that's my answer to why they did that. I agree with you. Yeah. I'm saying when you say we've seen this from Kirby before, you knew the minute they hit that penalty, you're like, okay, 2-minute offense is over.
Yeah. One more thing, Ben, and then I'll kick it to you. Thank you also, God, for Nate Fraser, because Branson Robinson, we all have been praying for this kid to get back healthy 100%. And maybe he's tentative. That's a devastating knee injury he had, but he did not look like he had that spark that he had against TCU when he was busting big ones and looked like a tank out there. He looked tentative. And if we didn't have Nate Fraser, who would have been the back? Chauncey Bowers? I don't know. Cass? Nate Fraser is a game changer already. And what is he, 18? Incredible story. Just loved it. Ben?
I think my highlight of the game was the linebackers, because I thought last year they were not tackling well at times in games. Like I remember it was like the Ole Miss game. I remember early on in the Auburn game where the linebackers, bad angles, missed tackles. This year, Raylan Wilson, Smile Munden, and CJ Allen, they're just tackling machines. They were out there. That was one of the best games I've seen the linebacking core play at Georgia in some time. So they were impressive. I thought the back end, both Bolden and Starks interceptions, he could play receiver with those hands. If people talk about Travis Hunter, I don't think people remember what Malachi Starks was at Jefferson High School. He could play 2 ways if you wanted him to, but I think Kirby's smart, knowing he's best back there at safety and you don't need him on offense. So like those guys were impressive. And then on offense, I think the number one thing every year we always have a conversation is Georgia can have a 1,000-yard receiver. it's a good problem to have, but the reason why they'll never have one is you see today where Humphrey, here's 3 catches. You're like, is London Humphrey even playing? Then 2 drives where he takes over. Then it's like, okay, Colby Young, he has 2 drives or he has multiple catches. And then you have other times where Dylan Bell's getting there. They just mix in so many people. And when everyone's talking about who's going to replace Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey, I think the key thing for them is they have a 2 deep of weapons that are so solid and are in the upper end of the SEC. It's going to be able to carry them. I don't think they need that true number 1. Now, is it nice to have that go-to guy, to have that Bowers that could take over a game late that okay, it's a tie game, and you have a guy in one-on-ones that is going to win? Yes, but this team is so deep at the skill positions. I know a lot of people question that. But I think what they did in the portal with Colby Young and London Humphreys is going to be big for them this year, because this is a very good deep 2 deep at wide receiver, and that impressed me leaps and bounds.
Well, you say that, and of course we'd all still love to have Brock Bowers on this football team, but Dylan Bell goes out vomiting on the sideline with cramps, and you didn't even miss the guy. Like you're saying, You just go around, distribute it to somebody else. Arian Smith, Colby Young, London Humphrey, like you said, it doesn't matter. Just keep on pushing the ball down the field. So that's what I love about it. You're not relying, not that we relied on Brock Bowers. He was a game changer, obviously, but you get that guy hurt and he's out of the game. That changed our offense last year. It really did. And maybe now you can weather through some of those injuries and not have to worry about relying on one guy.
Right. And I think the one quick thing, I don't know, before I go back to you, Roddy, is that I noticed, I don't know if people brought it up much, is the tight ends. Tight ends weren't really used a lot today. Mm-hmm. Like you saw Delp and Yursak, they were on the field. And Lawson Lucky had a big catch on a play action pass, which was really nice. But overall, the tight ends weren't really, utilized in the pass game a ton, or at least got a lot of targets. That was the one thing maybe that they can improve on. I don't know if it was, Barrett Carter and some of the people Clemson have at linebacker and safety that they didn't like the matchups. But I just look and say that's the one area I think they can get better in, is they're utilizing their tight ends in the offense. But I think that will grow as the season goes on.
You did have one throw that was to Urasic that was not, he tries to one-hand it, doesn't get underneath. I mean, you got to dive for those, son, and he also had a penalty. Come on, Stanford, you're smarter than that. Mm-hmm. But they did open up. I thought it was interesting. They opened up in 12 personnel. I think that is a statement. I don't read too much into it, but it's like, look, we don't have Brock Bowers anymore, but we still can run 12. So Delp was out for a while, but I thought this was a coming out party for Lawson Lucky. We'd heard such great things before he got injured. Lawson was everywhere. And I don't think you were going to face as good a defensive front, defensive interior for some time. I mean, that Kentucky game kind of worries me because they have one really great – they had a first-round inside guy, but I don't know who else they have around.
Well, so does Clemson, right? And that's about it.
That's my point. This was the best defensive front interior they saw.
Right.
What do you do when you're facing guys like that? Well, you're all of a sudden your tight ends are integral in helping out, And there was a great little Oscar Delp block, and Coach called it an influence block, where he just kind of bumps him. But he stuck his shoulder pads and helmets, left shoulder pad and left helmet into a guy who's lined up in the 3-eye technique coming up that A gap. And just popped him, and it was like, hey, that gave them enough time to go right up the middle on that backside B gap, and he took it to, I think it was Nate Fraser just zooming through there, and I'm like, hey, what a great block, by a guy coming across the to pick, the backside. So there's one early backside tackle, and they're like, okay, they've got enough speed to put on backside pressure, and we're going to need our tight ends to stop that. So to me, you can throw more to them and you can do more with them when you don't need them to block. And this was a Clemson defensive front that, you need those guys to help out. Remember when we get frustrated with Isaac Nada never getting a pass? We're like,
right.
He's here. Hey, Aaron White, we know you can catch. You were a wide receiver in high school, but we're not going to throw Aaron White anymore because we need him to stay in and block. He's helping out some guys there. Sometimes you're like, why hasn't 19 touched the ball? Well, because he's helping out Warren McClendon on the far side. It's just sometimes you got to have that. So I'm with you there. But I want to go back real quick and talk about the kicking. It's very easy to notice when Georgia screws up kicking or anybody screws up. But did they have any kick returns? There was one at the end of the game where they let them. It's like, hey, we're going to kick it short so we can stop you on the 20 instead of the 25. But every kick went out of the end zone. You lost your kickoff guy last year. He transferred out.
Yeah.
And so you go to Peyton, you're like, hey, now you have to kickoffs. You knock down a 55-yarder. That's a gut punch. And your punter is making them start inside their – what was Clemson's starting field, average starting field position?
Yeah, it was way back there. Yeah.
Way back.
So you got to go against this defense. You got to drive 80-plus yards every time. And I know you think that, Georgia had 3 guys in the secondary drafted, so you think you can go to the air with your freshman wide receivers. But KJ Bolden is everywhere. Smile Munden is giving you pressure. Julian Humphreys looked good. Dalen Everett, he's on their best guy. And them switching to, letting him work in the boundary and letting the other guys work to the field, this secondary is going to be nasty. Again, even though 3 of them were drafted away, this secondary could be better than last year. And that blows my mind.
But before we move on from the special teams, just everybody's pointed out Brett Thorson, how much of a weapon he is, and he is. And that kick Peyton Woodring made, that second kick, if you watch it, it floated outside and then it somehow went back inside. I've never seen a kick like that before. I was like, he missed it when it started. Yeah, that was a humongous kick. But I think one of the keys to the special teams is Anthony Evans. And he only had, 25, 30 yards returning. But to me, it's the ball security. When he's catching those balls in traffic, and the ball, that could be a huge turnaround in a close game like that, like it was in the first half. And he's corralling all those balls and not letting them go anywhere. I think that was humongous. I thought he played really well back there.
Here's a couple of stats for you guys. Average start for Clemson was on their own 21.
Wow.
Damn.
For Georgia, it was their own 29. Here's a couple of different things for you, though. Georgia's 3 of their 4 touchdowns were over 75 yards for the drive. They had 6 plays 75-yarder, 8 plays 75-yarder, a 5-play 54-yarder, and a 5-play 78-yarder. So 3 of their 4 touchdowns were over 75 yards. They had to drive the field. So what I'm getting at there, plus 70-yard drives. Clemson had obviously 0. Georgia had 3. It just was in Georgia's favor almost the entirety of the game. It felt like, obviously. So,
yeah, Georgia never had a short field.
Georgia, their own start was on their own 29. Yeah. So it was pretty far back.
My point is, at some point against an Ole Miss or against an Alabama or against Texas, somebody's going to put the ball on the ground or somebody's going to intercept it. Even that great interception Malachi Starks had was way downfield.
Yeah, it was.
So at some point, you're going to have a gimme. Also, at some point, you're going to drop the ball. I mean, there was that one point where it looked like Nate Fraser had dropped one behind the line of scrimmage and lost another dove on it. You can get those. The turnovers can go both ways, but I'm just saying, if you make the other team drive the length of the field against Georgia's defense, it's a long day. If you have to rely on your offense to drive the length of the field and they can do it to the tune of 4 touchdowns, that's a good day.
I mean, Clemson only made it to Georgia's side of the field once up until the fourth quarter. First 10 drives, one time.
So they had 2 plays in the first half on the positive side, and one of those was a penalty.
Right.
Yep, and other than that, they weren't since
then. And the other one was a negative rush.
So it's like Clemson couldn't move the ball at all. I think a lot of things Georgia fans always get very picky about is like the sack numbers. I think as long as they created enough pressure today, and when they were tackling underneath, that was the thing where I think last year there was times where, unlike Georgia teams in the past, where on screen plays where they would miss a tackle and it'd be here's a 7-8 yard play, they weren't giving those up. There was a play. Now one of them was really dumb early in the game when Klubnik threw a ball like 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. I think Michael Williams was basically camping out the running back, just sitting there, and I'm like, I don't know why he decided to just take a 4-yard loss, but Georgia was just on them on the screens all day long, where they're like, we're not giving you those easy yards. And when Georgia's not giving you those easy yards, I don't think the sack totals are going to matter that much. And overall, Georgia won the field position battle because they're not giving up those, hey, here's a 4th and 2, here's, just 8-yard gains, here's that. No, we're not giving you anything.
Kirby Smart would rather have assignment football and containment than some guy freewheeling and making a sack. I mean, now, if your job is you come in on third down, it's a show pass. Hey, it's 3rd and 11, and you're like, okay, we're just going, full bore, get to the quarterback, and you have Smile on one side, or Damon Wilson, or Gabe Harris, and then Jalen Walker on the other side. You're like, hey, I'll meet you in the backfield. Oh yeah, then you go after him, but don't have a bust. That's the number one thing. And so if you don't get a whole lot of sacks, Kirby doesn't care. But if you beat the number 14 team by 31 points, you could add zero sacks. He'd be happy.
One of my favorite series was when it was 2nd and 1. I think it was early in the 3rd quarter. Clemson was on our side of the field. I was like, they're going to pick this up, no problem. And Jalen Walker comes from the backside and nails Maffa for a 1-yard loss. I'm not sure. And the next play, Jalen Walker again makes a tackle for loss. And
they went left. They ran counter left, and he's like, nope.
That was such a
he got off the block so smooth.
And I lay this at Dabo's feet. I think a couple of times he should have just gone for it. Why not? What do you have to lose at this point, right?
On those short 4th downs?
Yes. I was shocked that he just –
Well, they messed up.
And
they had the penalty on one of them, right?
Right, they did. And then they tried to do that hard count, and I thought that was the worst executed thing I've ever watched, because they got out there and there were like 5 seconds left on the clock. Hard count, okay, we're going to go punt now. That was horribly done.
It took him 45 minutes to get the play call in.
Exactly. And the guy's in his ear, so that he should have known immediately, okay, we're going to do a hard count, get to the ball quick, let's do this. And there's a chance Georgia jumps off sides with 5 seconds left. They know the play's over. They're going to punt. It was just stupid on Dabo's part.
I think this is the end of Clemson, to be honest. Like, if anyone's thinking they could be one of those top 10 teams, I think it's done. Because you look at them, they
still can, Ben. They're in the ACC. They still can.
They can't win a title. You think they can win a national title?
No. I think they can make the playoffs.
But hey, look, Miami's 31-10 right now over Florida. They might.
If Miami has, I'm not a fan of Crystal Ball, the in-game coach, but if Cam Ward, with a quarterback like Cam Ward, if he's that guy for Miami, because he's very talented, they can very easily win the ACC.
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, the crazy thing is Georgia Tech's probably the top 5 team in the ACC this year.
Is Tech better than Clemson, though, what we saw today, do you think?
Oh, that's a good question.
They can hang with Clemson. You can't convince me they can't.
You sure about that? I don't know that Tech has the defensive front that we saw today. No way in hell they do. That makes a big difference.
Okay. Answer this then. Is the Georgia Tech-Georgia game closer than 31 points? Because that's what this one was.
I think it's close to the same number. I think it's close.
I think it's a blowout. Blackout, I've been saying that. 7:30 at night, that's bad news for Tech. And the game could actually mean something for us. It could mean a playoff position, whatever.
Folks are saying Tech would beat Clemson right now.
But Georgia has won their last 2 games against ACC opponents 97-6. That's just amazing to me. Clemson also their last 2 times 6 total points.
That conference is almost done anyway.
Yeah.
You want to take teams from that conference at this rate?
About on the verge of breaking.
I take Notre Dame, but they're not ACC.
Hey, Roddy, when do you want to do these helmet stickers?
Are you trying to tell me you're ready to go?
No.
It's only 2.5 hours, you big baby.
His voice just went way up, Roddy.
When Paul stopped for that long period of time, he's cooked.
I like to see my children.
I don't know. When I got up to go get that water and I came and sat back down, I was like, man, I'm kind of.
Look, do you want me to take over show so you can get some water and go pee?
I did both. My bladder is that of a small old man.
Well, let me pull up the game notes here. I mean the stats, because I don't want to miss anybody. There's a lot of them.
I'm right here. Is that what you want?
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Can we
look at the QBR rating on Beck, 160,
and then the QBR rating on Klubnik, 96. All right. Do Choppy and Eddie, do they get to give helmet stickers out too, or is it? I mean, are they allowed?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna need help just putting all these out there. So,
okay. Eddie, go first.
We'll take an offensive defensive one.
Yeah, Eddie, go first. Who you got?
London Humphreys. I think he made the biggest catch of the game in that huge third down, that 3rd and 10 coming across the middle. I thought that was a humongous play in the game.
He converted 2 third downs.
Yeah, but you know the first one I'm talking about. The first one I'm talking about, his first
Yeah.
catch. That's the one I'm talking about.
But then the 40-yard TD.
Well, that was huge too. But I'm just saying that I thought the first catch was
You're right.
The play of the game.
And you got one on defense?
Oh, do you have one on defense, Eddie? Yeah, we'll give you one.
Jalen Walker.
Okay, easy enough. Led the team with 6 tackles, 3 solo, a sack and a half. Tackle.
Well, I went first. I'm going to pick the low hanging fruit.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's smart. It's smart.
You know, Paul, I said it coming in. I'm not going to take the obvious answer. I'm going to go Cash Jones because Kirby talked about it. In pass pro, he was there.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And he made several big runs. Like, in my opinion, he was the second best back.
He had one rush.
In terms of numbers.
He had one rush.
He got a touchdown.
Yeah, he had one rush.
But Cash Jones did the little things.
He did the little things.
Cash Jones did all the little things for Georgia.
He did.
And also, it's very obvious who a lot of people are taking. So that's why I'm going unconventional here.
Hey, who's the starting running back next week before you go, Ben? Who's the starting running back next week?
It's ETN.
You think so?
I think it's ETN. And
yes,
Fraser's
Radi's saying yes. Y'all agree with that?
Yeah.
Frazier's probably the number 2 back now.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think the answer is ETN. You don't bring in a transfer. I think Radi could correct me if I'm wrong. Is ETN the first transfer running back Kirby's ever taken? I think he's the only transfer running back.
No, he got the kid from Tennessee, Lynette Whitehead. That's a transfer.
But they took him as a walk-on.
Yeah, it was a walk-on. Yeah. I think it is.
He was going to be academically eligible.
So, Kirby's not going to take a transfer running back unless he's going to be the guy. That's how I view it. And also, he has so much proven production. And then on defense, I'll go with CJ Allen because he was just all over the place today. And I just think that linebacker core, I was saying it, best played game by the linebackers. To me, he's the lead in alpha, and he's just going to be a tackling machine this year. Yeah. So I'm going to go CJ Allen. I thought he played a perfect game today.
It's a good pick. What you got, Roddy?
No, you go ahead.
Nate Fraser. Man, easy, right? You guys teed that one up for me. Like,
yeah,
we can't not give him one, right? We can't not give him one. So he deserves one. And then on the defensive side of the ball, KJ Bolden.
Mm-hmm.
I thought him stepping up was impressive. That first drive, right? 3rd down, he had that big tackle.
Mm-hmm.
KJ Bolden for me, man, with a close second being Damon Wilson. I like seeing him around, and he looks the part for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie, who'd you go with on offense?
Eddie went with Humphreys.
Yeah.
Okay. How the hell do you guys pass on Arian Smith?
A lot of stickers to give out, Roddy.
Roddy has the unlimited budget.
I'm just saying, Arian Smith to me had probably the best game of his career. Remember, he comes into this season as Georgia's leading touchdown guy. Caught the most touchdowns for Georgia of anybody on the team. And granted, that's because you lost a lot of guys, but he scored 6 times. And everyone's like, "Oh, well, he can't catch." He looked phenomenal today. He threw some blocks today that really helped. So, a all-around player. They start off the game with a jet sweep to him. They start off the second half with a jet sweep to him. Make some throws to him. This kid he's going to be the change at wide receivers coach is not going to benefit anybody more than it will benefit Arian Smith. So,
and that that pass interference, Roddy, you can't even be mad at him because he was being aggressive, thinking,
he's doing what he's supposed to.
Beck's going to run the ball. Here we go, and that's exactly what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean he did as coached. So
that's exactly right.
You have a busted play.
A great thing they did too was get him involved early because I think with Arian Smith, confidence is key. Like you get him involved early,
right? First plays above halves.
Like Roddy said, you get him involved early and you get that confidence building for him. I mean, he could be he looked like a totally different guy than what we've seen in his career at Georgia so far. Good pick, Roddy. Good pick.
Did anybody pick Malachi Starks?
Nope. We left him there for you.
Malachi Starks was taken away from being the safety guy and moved to nickel. He plays nickel better than Janelle Aguero would.
Yeah.
He plays safety better than anybody on that team. And hell, if you let him play corner, he'd probably be a better cornerback than anybody on the field. He is special. He was a hell of a quarterback at Jefferson. The guy can do it all. And then he had just objectively one of the most amazing interceptions we've seen since 2 years ago.
I did see a side-by-side of that while I was running to get some water. The one this year is better than the one against.
Is it really? That's what I was going to ask. Which is better?
Yeah,
really?
It is. Yeah, it's better. Yeah,
it was phenomenal. So, give me Smile Munden pressed into playing a different position than he has played in the past, and did it magnificently. What do you have? Just a couple tackles, but big interception. Again, remember that was going to be the one that they were zooming down the field, thinking that okay, we can at least do something. No, that was the dagger in the heart.
We also have to give one to Carson Beck, right? Obligatory.
Hey, look, Coach Hayes agreed, so that's all that matters. If I got Coach on my side, y'all know.
All right, you got Coach on your side. There you go.
We got to give one to Carson, and then one to Dan the Man Jackson, dude. Just back there, 6th year. I mean, just doing what he does.
Setting that edge. He did that a couple times beautifully.
Yeah, I mean, he just does what he does. We got a Clemson fan here. Clemson fan Achilles says he's tuning in. Just want to say congrats. Y'all truly blew us out of the water with the second half adjustments. Our defense looked great first half, but we're left hung out to dry by our offense. You're exactly right, brother. You're exactly right. Defense looked damn good first half, and
that's a hell of a defense. But
yeah, it is. It's just the depth. Depth was an issue for you guys. I think we all still think that you have a chance at the ACC this year, but you're right. You were left out to dry with the offense kind of slacking. Georgia's defense is really good too, though. So I mean, it's hard to move the ball against them, but that defense just ran out of gas, man. Unfortunate for you guys. Appreciate you watching, though, man.
Casey brings up a great point right there. Give the entire defense stickers for not allowing TD. And this is Kirby. This is what he does. It's 34-3 with 3 minutes to go, and he's coaching with his hair on fire with those back.
He's lighting into Justin
laying
Red.
into him, yeah. And Ellis Robinson's out there. He's laying into him. We are not letting these guys score, and I just love that. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: it's when you're up 34-3, and you're putting in. You see Joseph Jonia get in. You see Chris Cole get in. You see Justin Williams get in. You see Ellis Robinson get in. Now, this is what wins you games in November. This is what wins you games in December. You might be relying on Ellis Robinson if something happens to Julian Humphrey against, Auburn late or something like that. So now, I mean, the guy wants 2 side-by-side practice fields, not end-to-end. He wants 2 side-by-side. Why? What's so special about it?
Because of attrition, right?
No. He wants to be able, when they're practicing, for guys on field A to run over to field B that much faster so they can get in a few more reps. Because remember, you're only allowed like 20 some odd hours. If they're end to end and you have a guy on the far 20 and he's got to be at the far 30 for third down drills, that's too far and it takes too much time. That's how efficiency minded Kirby Smart is. Coach Hayes, Chris Hayes can talk about it. The coach is like, hey, you only have so many hours. When he's coaching high school ball, it's like, anything that you can get 1 or 2 more snaps, which is you're up 31-0 on an opponent, and I'm putting in new guys. Now it's almost as if it's first and goal, 60 minutes left on the clock, and I'm playing Ellis Robinson for the first time. I'm going to coach him as if he's a starter. And that's why he's screaming at people or walking them through it. Remember Nate Fraser, his first carry, walks off. Who's the first person to talk to him? Kirby Smart. Gets into it, not in a mean way. He's like, okay, here's what you did wrong. Here's what you did right. Dylan Bell catches one. He gets to the sideline. Before he gets there, of course, Coach yelled it out. Coach Johnny yelled it out on the screen, but it's like he ran with the ball in his inside arm instead of his outside arm. And you could see 3 different coaches telling Dylan Bell, get it on your damn outside arm, son. Just mind-boggling. So that's why because he knows that let's see, he lost Warren Brinson. Michael Williams gets banged up. Dylan Bell goes down. He's like, look, I'm going to have to go to my third, fourth, or fifth guy. So I got to coach him like that.
Was that a dirty hit, did y'all think? On Michael? It looked pretty dirty to me. I don't know.
I'm just hoping he's not out for an extended period of time.
Shout out to Caleb Peavy. He came on the show with us earlier. Great setup that he's got. He didn't call it dirty. He called it desperate. And I like that. It was a desperate hit.
I like that.
I don't know, when you present because he dove down sideways, when you present your side, when I was playing offensive and defensive line, we called it rib meat. If you can get in that rib meat,
sure.
You just own a guy, and you present your rib meat to a Michael Williams coming up the middle, it's going to hurt. So I don't know that he was trying to do it. It may have turned out that way that he hurts him, but I don't know that it was intentional because Phil Moff was like, this is going to suck. But I don't know how else to stop him,
Yeah.
So, because you're expecting a knee to hit you in that kidney, or to knock your floater ribs, into your spleen. Because like this is gonna, and we've all done it. It's like this is gonna suck when you throw yourself. I mean, hell, I remember Heritage High School, sons of bitches.
Hey, KC gave us $10 and said, "Hell yeah,
there it is."
Hit. So I guess it was.
You're welcome. I set that up for you, Roddy. There you go.
Thank you, Eddie. Always making us money on the show here. He says, "Hell yes, it was a dirty hit." So, guys, KC says it was.
Well, I'm drunk, KC, so I don't. I can't help you there. So if you're right, you're probably right.
I don't hate him. I don't hate it. Juzo's got to go water his dog. So God bless him, man. I hope that'll work out.
I don't know what to do with that.
I don't either, Eddie. I don't either, man.
Yeah, I got to call it water my dog too.
Yeah, I got to go water my dog. So, I guess, right?
All right, who else? We still giving out stickers?
I don't want to give out too many, Roddy. I don't.
You so
because what ends up happening? It's one of those things. You give out too many of them, and then they lose their value. Right, we're handing it to everybody. Then by next week, everybody's got one. They lose their value. They do.
No, man, I'm giving one to Christian Miller. 52 was everywhere.
Okay, I mean, I'm not gonna say no, right? I think that
you can't. I'll fire you.
Damn.
I mean, isn't he still an intern?
Yeah, of course.
Firing.
Yeah.
Although we might have to demote him to junior intern because Harrison Reno's coming on pretty strong.
Yeah, I know. We got a new intern now, and I felt a little shocked when that came in, but that's all right.
Did we give Lucky one?
Yeah. Did we give Lucky one?
No.
I will give. I'll give Lucky.
Okay. Yeah, Paul didn't want to give him out, but he's going to give one out here.
If he's saying, hey, we got to just hand them out. We have too many of them to give out. Yes, Lawson Lucky made some incredible blocks, had a couple nice catches. I think he is probably. I'm curious to see what happens, kind of in the coming weeks. Is he your tight end number one? Because he sure played a lot more than Delp did.
He did.
And there wasn't. We had folks on the ground, right? Catherine was taking pictures, and so was Lance, and they were like, "Yeah, he's staying on the sideline. He's got his helmet," and talking about Oscar Delp, but he just wasn't getting in the game. So, is Lawson Lucky your number one guy there? Be curious to see the snap count because we'll have that up on UGA Sports tomorrow. We'll also have the grades up. See where those tight ends kind of rank there because Lawson got a lot more playing time for sure. Oh, we got the post-game news and notes making its way into the chat. Definitely want to check those out. What else we've got coming down the pipeline, Roddy? Tomorrow night's Film Don't Lie, right?
Yeah, Film Don't Lie. We got a story up about the transfer wide receivers. Again, I'm not trying to be a troll for the Clemson folks. I know a lot of Clemson. Our Clemson site is one of the best in the network. Larry Williams, Chris Orr, those guys are fantastic. Hate that, and their board might be going sideways right now, but there was that we just played that little clip of Dabo saying there's nobody in the portal who can play for us, but two different wide receivers, transfer wide receivers scored on him. Anthony Dasher's got a story up about the transfer wide receivers making their mark for Georgia in game 1. We got a really good thing on what Dabo said after the game. So we've got that.
I can't wait to listen to that. That's one of my favorite things is to listen to the opposing coach afterwards. And we started that, by the way, UGA Sports. We were the ones that said, hey, let's get that up on our site. And it is a huge – because you want to know what the other team has to say about your team after the game and what stood out to him and how your team played against his team. And I'm very curious. So I haven't seen anything because I did a show right after if he was upset, how his demeanor was. But if you're as curious as I am, it was up on our YouTube, and then we also have it a little bit on the website as well. Tomorrow night, Radi, is the debut of the Peach State Power Hour.
Power Hour.
Peach State Power Hour. Myself, Andy Stowe, and Eddie from Mackworth. The Peach State Power Hour, brought to you by UGAsports.com. And M. Jones Heating and Air will be on tomorrow night. I do have a wedding to go to, so we might run a couple minutes late, but we'll be on there with you. Next week, are they going to put it? They obviously have to put a line out. They have to put it out on Saturdays, I believe, when it's FBS versus FCS. Normally, I'm pretty good on these lines. I not toot my own horn, but toot. 44.5.
Yeah, I was thinking 40 something, 41.
I was thinking 42.5.
Yeah, 40 something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be up there. It's definitely going to be up there. Jermaine, stop it. Not today, Jermaine. You're not going to get me.
What have we not covered, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah. Roddy, you got anything else, my man?
Looking at the Dabo Swinney transcript at UGAsports.com, he was asked about, hey, Coach, you did put the ball on the ground against a great defense. He's like, well, yeah, but they did throw an interception. And Dabo says, yeah, we took care of the ball. But Starks, that was a great play. We took a shot on the box fade to Tyler. He made a great football play, great player. We did a good job with that. Okay, and they said, then again, I thought the first half, the red zone defense was really good to see. There's a lot of physicality. There's a lot of good stuff. At the end of the day, I just he should be fired for that alone.
At the end of the day.
Anybody says at the end of the day, you need to be fired. But a lot of stuff on the front page of UGAsports.com. You check that out. Check out the Catherine has her photo gallery up. The secondary had a really good Jed's got a story up about the secondary. Again, they lost one of their starters early in the week, and they coached around it. We got word of it like 5 minutes before they got to the stadium. And I'm like, hey, guys, keep an eye out on Janelle Aguero. And, it's like, oh, well, he's kind of warming up. But that was one that's kind of kept under wraps the whole time.
So, Roddy, 27 cents a day? Is that? I don't want to get the number wrong because I did last time, right? 27
cents a day. 90, and here's the thing: if you're a student, you can sign up for 88%.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Roddy.
So if you're a student, you can sign up for 88% off.
And I don't know about you guys. But all day yesterday, I worked all day yesterday, unlike some of you guys. I know Roddy did. Eddie, Ben, maybe. I was waiting for that 3-2-1 report.
Yeah,
it came out last night. And it hit like Christmas Eve, man. I mean, I was about to send a text in our group chat, be like, yo, where's the 3-2-1? The people are wanting to know. And it wasn't anybody texting me. It was myself. But I also was like, I don't want to hype up Roddy too much and give him a big head, right? But I was refreshing. I was like, where is it? So the best thing on the internet, Fridays, you got to put it out a little earlier, boss. You can't let us sit around that long.
Dude, it was – part of that was waiting on sources to talk to me.
Man, I'm just saying.
And so I had to wait until I spoke to one of our sources like 5 o'clock.
I'm sitting there scratching, dude.
We got to go through our walkthrough before I can tell you.
I needed it. And it came through, though.
It's like a meth head.
I told you Trevor McLeod wasn't going to play. Told you Trevor Etienne wasn't going to play, but would dress out.
Why did he dress out, Roddy? Why did he dress out? Why did he do that? What was the point of it?
In case it didn't leak out that he wasn't going to play.
Okay.
You'd have Clemson guess until the last second.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
So,
I do
We've
have a
been telling everybody for 2 weeks he wasn't going to play, but apparently it's not. It was this morning. It was breaking news. I'm like, I reported it last night.
Right.
Well, you didn't put it on Twitter. Yeah, because we have subscribers. I don't put all of our news on Twitter.
Yeah.
And they're like, Matt Zenas at wherever he's at reported first. I'm like, bullshit. I reported last night.
Here's a question. He's dressed out. This game goes, I don't know, 6-3 in the third quarter. Branson's obviously not getting it done. Was there a chance he was actually going to play, or was it?
Let's say Nate, God forbid, goes down.
Dude, he didn't take a snap with the number one offense all week.
There we go. I just was curious because and everybody has to wonder, right? He's dressed out. Mm-hmm. It's like, dude, all he has to do is run onto the field, and he doesn't have to put pads on. He's dressed out. So yeah, I just wanted to maybe clear the air on that. But
I'm just telling you, as excited as everyone was to see Nate Fraser today, Trevor Etienne is the number one guy.
Yeah. Oh man. So, and you saw him standing next to Nate Fraser on the sideline on a couple of times. He's yoked up. I mean, he's pretty big.
He's little. Yeah. He's like 5. He's not a big guy, but
he looks big though.
He's power packed.
Yeah, he is.
He's like the Peach State Power Hour. He is power packed.
Yes, he is like little Mighty Mouse. Is the nickname for ETN. Guys, we appreciate you so much for staying with us for 2 hours and 40 minutes. Before you leave out, do me a favor. Do me a quick favor. Go ahead and like this. If you like it, it sends it off to other Georgia fans so they can come and chat with us. We will be live tomorrow night for the Peach State Power Hour around 7:30. Dane and Brent will follow that up with Film Don't Lie. Rumors versus facts throughout the week. We've got Dogs and Hogs. We've got goodness. I mean, there's so many already. I'm forgetting some.
Okay, just the show on Tuesday, Coach John, is a must watch.
Yeah, duh. The Coach John's Tuesday show with
UGA Sports Live.
UGA Sports Live. Our premiere show that we started.
We're going to give Paul Maharry credit for kind of starting that.
Hey,
because we've been doing UGA Sports Live back when Steve Patterson was here. It was only a audio thing. There was no such thing as a podcast. And Steve was a musician, and he had a bunch of recording gear. So he's like, I could just, we have all the musician headsets. What if we sat around and talked about Georgia football, and we can host it on lib.sys, a library system or whatever. We can put an audio file up. Because remember, we used to record interviews and put them up audio only because there was no place you could upload a video. So we were doing this before there was video on the internet. We did audio only shows. We called it UGA Sports Live because we spoke live, and we would take questions, on we'd talk about the dog event. We were doing Dog Dial with John Rawl for a long time. And then Paul comes to me and says, we should just do our own show. And I'm like, Paul, I don't have time for that. And Paul's like, look, we'll start it. And we did, and it took off. And then Coach Donnan came and started doing it with us, which was fantastic. And then we got a bunch of sponsors. So I mean, we should have advanced Paul past the intern stage, but it's just, he's got a lot of other problems, with the lotion and everything. So, yeah. But my point is, when we started doing the video version, we called it UJ Sports Live as a throwback to what we were doing, 15, 20 years ago. And I got to give Paul credit for saying, hey, we could do this. I'm like, oh. I was just so used to doing it on, 27 different radio stations. And Paul's like, no, we'll just stick it on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. I'm like, oh, maybe it'll work. And
here we are, 45,000 subscribers later, 7 shows. Eddie's got a UGA Sports backdrop. Ben's got a job. Hey, don't have to thank me for everything, guys. But we appreciate you so much for watching. Hit that like button before you leave out. And if you missed any of the show, I'll have it up on the website and also on where you get your podcast. It'll be ready for you tomorrow morning. We appreciate you guys. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.